Testing, testing. Hi. I I hope my mic does not sound too bad. I hope it's not too quiet or too loud. It probably does though. I am not an audio engineer. My knowledge of mic settings are pretty poor, so for this stream at least, we'll just have to deal with that. But hi, hello. Um I didn't write a script. This was mostly I was expecting everything to break by this point. So honestly, I did not expect to even get to the talking part today. I was fully expecting everything to break. But my name is Ilaiya. Um I like musou games. That's most of what I talk about online. I feel like anyone watching this probably found me through that. So, oh hello Mags, hi. How are you doing? But yeah, like I said, I did not expect to actually be able to get to the talking part today. I expected everything to break moment one because I did not test actually pressing the stream button for today. Probably should have. I really probably should have, but I didn't. But seems to be working out, so that's good. Um, so I guess I'll start. I guess I'll just go ahead and start playing Warriors All Stars. Um, I don't really have too much to talk about before that point. Um, Again, I didn't write a script for this. I was just saying fuck it. So time to start the game because I can talk about a lot more when playing this very mediocre game. It's a very mediocre game that I fully expect to crash at least once this stream, possibly more than once. Yeah, so most musos on my voice guy I usually keep updated on the progress I'm making. I don't think I put an actual progress update for Warriors All Stars in nearly 2 weeks. The reason why is not that I have not been making progress, it's because the only thing that there is to unlock are these two things. And both of these require only one thing, reaching max regard between every character. And getting max regard just requires hours upon hours of mindless grinding. And as you can see on this list, I am still only like maybe a quarter of the way there. Probably not even that. It is a very, very slow process. And while I don't have any schedule for the moment for these streams, most of them will probably just be playing this game because I have quite a bit to go. I do need to finish it or at least take a break from it on the 22nd though, because my plan is to play Utawara Ramono Zan the day it releases on Steam in English. Which Zan 2 got announced yesterday, so that's cool. I mentioned the regard. I have Zhao Yun, Yuki Murasada, Hajime Arama, Nobunaga Oda, not to be confused with Nobunaga Oda, very different characters. And I believe there was one more. Nope, I guess that's it. Those are the only characters I have maxed out regard with. And I've been doing the regard grind for about 2 weeks, and I have 4 characters. It is possibly one of the slowest, most tedious grinds of any musou. Luckily, the actual gameplay of this game, it's been good. The characters feel very, very, very good to play. And I think that alone, despite all of its other problems, kind of carries it. I've literally played so much that the map is almost cleared out. I'm gonna have to start another New Game Plus round soon because this is almost all cleared out. I also have almost cleared every single side quest. There are these 4, and these reset upon New Game Plus restarts. But I am on the final request for these 4 characters, and I already completed all 3 for every other character. That is how long this grind has taken for just 4 characters. Which I haven't been playing it too much recently, so I could probably speed up if I played it more, but been a bit busy, partially with setting this whole thing up, this whole stream. But even if I wasn't doing this, I still have a bit of a life outside of musous. It's just a hobby. The worst part about the grind though, it's not even the time, it is the fact that it is incredibly samey and tedious. Here's what I do to increase grind with characters. I mean, increase regard with characters. I will mess up my speech a lot, I can promise you. This menu is character-based skills. Every character has their own hero skill, and using these increases regard. You want to go through every stage and just spam those attacks. Use them as much as possible. And on average, characters will usually level up by 1 regard rank every 1 to 2 matches, if you're spamming them correctly, like constantly. Which means about 5 matches per character. There are 30 playable characters per character. That means that is about 150 stages that I have to do. Which means in total, I have to play about 4,500 stages for the grind, going by that math, which not the most accurate. There's definitely a bit of difference. Sometimes it will take more than 1 stage per rank. Sometimes they'll level up 2 ranks. So it's not an exact number, but it is close enough, and 4,500 is a very, very large number. So I hope the game audio isn't too loud. I tried setting that up. This game is a ripoff of Dynasty Warriors Gundam. That is very true. It's fucked up that I think Dynasty Warriors Gundam may... I mean, and it makes sense because it's a licensed game, but I think it may be the only Dynasty Warriors style game that Koei made that was on the PS2 that does not get some representation in this game. Again, it makes sense, it's technically a crossover game, but it's a very long-running crossover series. So it's very interesting that it's the only one that doesn't get at least some representation in this game. Not even a minor reference. Not even a tiny little Gundam reference. Okay. So another thing, these objectives, there's like these random stages throughout the map. These have like 3 different objectives. They can be either secure the main approach, rescue allies, which are the worst ones. Okay, thank you. I'm glad the audio sounds alright. I do not have it set up to be able to hear myself at the moment, so if it was a problem, I would have to go into like a different. I would have to go into it, like change a few settings in OBS to be able to hear it myself. Yeah, these stages that are random have 3 different objectives, and those 3 objectives are repeated across every single one of these. And like I said, about 4,500 of these stages for full regard completion. Only 3 objectives on repeat. And this particular one, this is probably the least bad one. This is a very inconsequential one. It's kind of next to impossible to lose a stage with the secure the main approach stage, because even if you fail this objective, the enemy still spawns in their main camp. They're just slightly stronger than they would otherwise be, which this game is easy enough, but that's not really much of a concern. So I just realized that I set the category to just chatting because I was expecting to be in troubleshooting mode a bit longer. I should probably change that, but I will after this stage, which is going to be fun because this game has a very bad habit of crashing. This is probably the least stable Steam game I've ever played. Not surprising. Musous in general from Koei are not stable on Steam generally at all, but this is probably the worst one in that regard. If I had to guess, in my about 100 hours of playtime, it has probably crashed a total of 30 to 40 times. So it has like about a 30% chance of crashing within each hour. And it always crashes at the same spot. In a minute, once I'm done with this stage, I will enter the main base camp, and there is a sauna there. And I need to go to that sauna in between every stage because the menu I showed of the events when I first opened the game, one of those is called Hot Spring events. And those are unlocked by going to the hot spring with certain levels of regard with specific characters. So I have to visit that every single match between every fight. And the game, I don't know what it is with that particular area. It always, if it crashes, that's always where it crashes. And it's not super often. I would say it's like 1 in every 30 times or so that I visit it. But it is enough that I do expect it to crash at least once during this stream. If not more than once. It would be very funny if I encountered like 5 crashes, because I don't plan for this to be a super long stream. But if it does, it would be very entertaining. Gotta spin the wheel of hero skills every time they pop. Every single time. And that is how an average stage goes in this game. I completed it a bit slowly because I was talking, but should be able to speed up a bit more. On average, these stages take about 2 to 3 minutes per attempt. You will see me saving a lot, both because I just have the habit of saving as much as possible in video games, and also because I save every time I enter this area. This is where it crashes. Spin the roulette on does it crash? So far, no, it has not crashed. That's good. At this point, we should be safe. Also, apologies if I forget to mute the mic when I clear my throat. I just woke up like an hour ago. And I'm still not the most used to constantly muting and unmuting the mic, but I will try to do it as much as possible. I know that those like coughing sounds and stuff can get a little bit annoying, so. Another thing as well, for increasing regard as quickly as possible, even if you have max regard with her yourself, it is generally best to always have Hanukkah equipped. The reason why is because her hero skill has I believe it's a like 1/3 chance of resetting the hero skill cooldowns for all of your other characters, which means that you get you get basically more and more regard the more you use those skills. So if they automatically reset, that's free points, 3 extra points.
So you want to fight? Then come.
So I'm currently playing as a character that I don't play that much. Before starting the regard grind, which I only started with her literally this stream. Before this regard grind, I played her a tiny bit, just to test her, but I probably played her for 30 minutes or so. I have not figured out an optimal rotation for her yet, so I am doing a slight amount of just button matching effectively. She seems to be alright for AoE though, not amazing. Her C4, which is... This is her C4, seems to be relatively alright for crowd clearing. Single target though, I would assume is her C6, which is not bad. Another thing with the regard system is when you use these hero skills, for a long time I assumed that you had to actually hit an enemy with their skills. Not at all. You can literally just use them in an empty field, you still get the points. So there is no reason to not just instantly spam them as they appear. And this is Musou Rush. This is one of the defining mechanics of this game, but it is simultaneously probably the single most pointless mechanic to a normal player. It's very flashy, it looks nice, it's cool, but in terms of actual practical application, it is basically worthless. You get extra gold, extra materials, and a little bit of extra experience when you finish these, but in this game, yeah, see, all of that stuff. In this game though, that's kind of pointless. Materials are only used to add modifiers to your hero card, which a hero card is just a piece of equipment. And you don't need a ton of materials to get the best modifiers for every single card. And gold is mostly used for the same thing, and also leveling up your characters automatically. And obviously experience is just leveling them up normally. But the level max is only 50 in this game. I reached the level max for every character during a normal, like, main story playthrough. It does not take much to get to max level. So what is the Musou Rush actually useful for? For a normal player, nothing. It's cool, but that's it. For me, however, also I just realized my morale is not high enough to put these on. I was not paying attention. But for me, however, once you finish a Musou Rush, it automatically resets your hero skills. And because of that, again, the main thing I am looking for is to use those hero skills as frequently as possible. So if it resets that, then I generally go for it. The other problem though, and the biggest reason for why it is completely useless to a normal player, you see that KO counter in the bottom right? You know, most Musous have it. It's a pretty normal staple, and you're usually graded based on several factors. In this game, it's time and number of KOs. However, any KOs that you get while in Musou Rush mode, you could get 1,000, 2,000, even 3,000 kills in Musou Rush mode. None of them count. They do not count towards your KO count at all. In a way, I kind of get it, because the entire point of the mode is to instantly rack up massive amounts of KOs for, like, flashy action. However, when those don't actually count towards your real KO counter, there's not much of a reason to do it after the first couple of times. Once the novelty of it has worn off, it's kind of a very useless mode to enter. Unless you're doing what I'm doing, which I cannot imagine many people do. Considering how long of a grind this is and how content barren this game is normally, this is absolutely a game that was intended for the most casual of players. Story mode is not very long. Story mode is the only mode there is. Not a ton of unlocks. The only unlockable character is Okuna, who is debatable to begin with because originally he was a pre-order bonus. But on the Steam version, they just made it where, clear every ending and you unlock him. But for someone who played at launch day and just got Okuna for free, the game has 0 character unlocks. You just kind of come across them as you go through story mode, and then you can just switch them. Also the reason why I'm not just instantly going through the base is because in the top left of the screen, there is that star icon with a number next to it. So that is effectively your morale. A lot of Musou games have a system called morale, which is basically, it affects how strong you and your allied units are. This game doesn't exactly have that. Instead, it's a system called bravery. Morale kind of doesn't increase by a set number. It kind of just, it's usually a tug of war type bar between you and the enemy. In this game though, it's just a number that increases as you KO enemies, capture bases, just anything increases it. And it only applies to yourself. Your allies have their own bravery meter, but it kind of, it doesn't really affect much. This game is not a strategy. This game leans far more on the hack and slash side of the Musou genre, more so than the typical strategy slash hack and slash. The game has basically no strategy. It's a very simple game. And it's a fun one. As much as a lot of these systems are very strange and this game is not the most content rich, you can finish everything a normal player would do within a matter of like 2 hours. I would recommend it. It's decently fun if you're just playing it normally. Also, like I had mentioned, occasionally some characters will increase by 2 ranks. If you look at Honoka, her regard, it increased from level 1 to level 3. That does happen occasionally, and so the 4,500 battles estimate I gave earlier, it's not exactly accurate because of that. Still an incredibly high number though. And these right here, whenever a character appears here, this is a friendship event, as it's called. This is the main unlock for increasing regard. If you have regard high for 2 characters, and that regard has to be high both ways. For example, let me look at the regard. Let's see, Oka. Let's say I had max regard with Zhao Yun as Oka. I would not immediately get that friendship event. I would also need to have regard max with Oka as Zhao Yun. It is not a two-way thing. You have to level them up manually per character for every other character. Increasing it with one does not increase it for the corresponding character. And you need it maxed for both to get those friendship events. Now, luckily, not let's go! The first crash of the stream. This is a monumental moment. Thank you for the mad respect for the grind. It is something. It's not the most enjoyable grind. This is most likely going to end up being a musou that I kind of, after a certain point, will probably put on the back burner and come back to at some point, because I do not expect to fully 100% this game, all regard levels, in one go. If I did, I think I would go insane, because I'm already kind of going insane from just, like, about 100. If I had to say the exact number, because the in-game timer maxes out at 99 hours. If I had to make a guess, I would say this is my actual playtime. It's probably around the 110 hour mark. I'm already kind of getting exhausted of this game. Not too bad, but a small bit. So I will most likely not fully finish the game within one go. I will probably end up taking a break, moving on to a different game, and then coming back to this later. But until then, I would like to get as much of this menu done as possible. And I currently have about 1/6 of it. After 2 weeks of grind, I have about 1/6. See, and this time it doesn't crash. It is very inconsistent. 40 minutes into the stream, first crash. Very fun. Yeah, I almost forgot. I still need to change the category to back to the game. I think I'm not playing the stream for too long, but I think my goal for this stream will be to clear out the last few set points on the map. There's no achievement for doing that. There's no actual reason to. It's kind of just a fun little thing. I'm already doing this long grind. Might as well clear out the entire map. It resets upon a New Game Plus run, so. But it would be very funny to be able to clear out the entire full map, which is comprised of like several hundred nodes, before even getting 1/4 of the character grind done. And I said that I was about 1/6 of the way there. I have about 1/6 of the characters maxed out. See, I have Zhao Yun, Yukimura Asada. That's not exactly correct. I would say that realistically, I'm probably around the 1/4, maybe 1/5 mark. Because if you look at this, like, the regard system still was increasing when I was doing just normal story mode. So a lot of characters are pretty close anyways. Like, see, look at Lu Bu, he has confidant with Zhao Yun, friend with Wang Wanji and Zhou Kang. And Mitsunari Ishida already has confidant with 4 characters. So it's not as bad as it sounds, luckily, but it is still going to be quite a long ride. And this is the worst of the kind of 3 objectives that the random stages can choose. Rescue the isolated allies. So this map is not very bad for this one. This shouldn't be too big of an issue. However, there are some maps that are way larger than this, and the allies and where those allies spawn is randomized somewhat. And so it is very possible, and also your allies will die pretty quickly. You have to play fairly fast during these. And so if you get bad luck with the map and also the placement of your allies on the map, it can become very, very difficult to actually rescue them before they die. This game is not the most well balanced or well thought out, unfortunately, and so because of that, some issues like that can arise. It shouldn't be an issue for this one. This map is a very small map. I can run directly to them, but on other maps that are not like that, it is a massive pain in the ass. Let me check. What? Nevermind, I forgot I can't check during battles. I was gonna check what quests I have left. I only have 4 left, and I'm fully done. And those are not required to do for any kind of achievement or anything. The game does not track them. Quests are also completely reset upon a New Game Plus reset. But just like the map, it's kind of just a fun little thing I might as well do. I would consider it to not really be part of the 100% grind, since it's not tracked by the game in any way, but since it's so much easier to do than max regard for characters, I might as well do it along the way. But I think the only ones that I have left are just related to collecting materials, which is something that I can't really dictate too much. I sort of can. Certain stages and objectives will give items that others don't. There's a little bit of control there, but not much. Which is why I left those for last. after this match, I will probably switch to a different character than Oka. As I said before, I don't play her very often, so I'm not really the best at playing as her. I promise, despite the way I'm playing right now, I am generally pretty good at this game. It's the combination of Streamer's Curse alongside a character that I don't play very often. Also, something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the hero skills, they do have an actual use beyond just increasing regard, of course. Every character has a completely different skill, and they're not balanced. They're very poorly balanced because some characters have completely broken skills. Like I mentioned earlier, Honoka's has a chance of resetting all of your other characters' hero skills, which is about as broken as you can get. Some other characters, like the one I'm playing as right now, Oka, if I were playing as a different character and had her on my team, her skill gives you like 30 full seconds of complete invincibility. And the cooldown is like a minute and a half. And if you combine it with Honoka's, you can potentially get infinite invincibility. It is very broken. However, by comparison, someone like Fakta, her skill is literally just increasing your health a little bit. I think it does something else as well. It puts out a field that I think debuffs the enemies, but it's so unnoticeable that it doesn't really matter too much. The main thing it does is it just kills you a little bit. Most characters kind of have the not super useful skill, but there are just a couple that are completely busted and make this game very easy to play when doing so normally. Very close to max regard with 2 more characters. I think I will get both Xiao Yun and Fakta up to Confidant, or rank 5, and then I will probably switch to a different character for now. I don't want to play as literally just one character for the entire stream, especially when that character is one that I'm not the best at. Not the best example of the strengths of this game, because while this game does have massive flaws, the one thing I do think it generally does very well is character playstyles. The characters in this game are genuinely very good. Oka is not the best example. She has a bit of a standard playstyle, but for most characters, they have some neat depth. Probably what I would consider to be my favorite character is Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, or as some people like to call it, Ninja Gaiden. I guess I'll play him next just to show him off, but he has one of the most interesting hits I've seen in a musou. It's very aerial focused, which is very strange for a musou character. Despite having jump attacks, in most musous, this one included, for 90% of characters, those jump attacks just amount to a normal attack while in the air. That's it. It can be good for juggling, but not much beyond that. Ryu Hayabusa though, his have a lot more potential to them. I sure do love the enemy skills. That's something as well. Enemies will also use their hero skills during the battle, and when they're using their hero skill, like William is right now, they will be invincible for the entire duration of the skill itself. Some characters have very short hero skills, some have incredibly long hero skills. Remember how I mentioned that Oka's is to get like 30 seconds of complete invincibility? Yeah, that applies to the enemy as well. That is not only for your playable character, that is for the enemy as well. So if you are fighting Oka, your main priority is to kill her as quickly as possible so she can't use her hero skill. Because if she does, you will just have to walk away and go do something else for a full 30 seconds. And if she's the enemy commander, guess your time is going up by 30 seconds. Again, very, very well balanced video game. Oh, there she is! Oh. And see, if I try attacking her, no response. And that's the case for about 30 more seconds. Well, it's weird seeing Ilaiya and Neo on the same map as a weird Chinese situation. Also, howdy. Howdy! How's it going, Ellie? I hope you're doing well. So, the funny thing about William and Olubu, there are certain stages, very few, despite it being kind of the whole conceit of the entire game, there are very few stages like this, but there are some special stages that are like crossover stages, basically. They're not that much different from any other stage, but they have a little cutscene at the beginning and end. And what they are, pretty much, is they are two characters from two completely different series having a fun little interaction. There's like 10... Okay, 10's a bit of an exaggeration. There's probably around like 20 total in the game of these, and they're cool. And there is one between Olubu and Neo, William Neo, and the cutscene of it is basically just Olubu going on a complete rampage, and William just being like, fucking, I do not want to deal with this guy. He is completely fed up with Olubu the entire time. He is just like trying to guide him around to attack bandits, while Olubu is just fucking going on a rampage. It is a very funny little scene. Okay, even though I didn't reach confidant with either Zhao Yun or Plato, the crossover game not having many crossover stages is very silly. Yeah, there's a decent amount. Realistically, if you were a normal player, just playing the game normally, getting to the end of story mode, because story mode is the only mode. For an average player, they're not gonna play this game for very long. So for a normal person, they would probably see about half of the crossover stages in a normal playthrough, and being about like 10, not too bad, but when you're going through everything and really looking at it, like just the objective, like numbers, the amount, it's not very many, and the ones there are decently neat, but it is very obvious that this game likely either didn't have a ton of development time, didn't have a ton of money into it, it had likely not a ton of resources put into it, and because of that, it's a little bit barren with the crossover concept. You have all of the characters, and the characters do get their little interactions with cutscenes, and obviously the regard scenes, like the one with Zhao Yun and Oka I just did, but there's not a ton. There's not really nearly as much as I feel like there should be for a game based entirely around the concept. for Ryu Hayabusa from the iconic video game Ninja Gaiden on the Nintendo Xbox Zero. Yeah, he has some very, very interesting skills to his kit. His normal playstyle is you play him the most basic possible, pretty much just a somewhat agile sword user. Good, but nothing incredible. What really gets amazing is when you start messing with his aerial attacks. He obviously has this, I believe it's called the Swallow Diver, I believe. Swallow Dive in his original game. Look. He has a Swallow Dive, which is just like a minor utility move to kind of get back into a run immediately after doing a string of attacks or jumping. I always forget that Ryu Hayabusa isn't just a generic ninja girl who's only played the NES Ninja Gaiden. Funny thing, I've also only played the NES Ninja Gaiden. I actually own a Ninja Gaiden Black on the original Xbox. I have not played it. I bought it like a month ago, solely for the purpose of research for this game, and also just because I've heard that game is really good, but I also haven't played it. I have only played the NES game, but yeah, he has his iconic little moves like the Izuna drop, which is the main part of its kit. It is literally just grabbing an enemy, fucking time it correctly, just grabbing an enemy and then fucking dropping them down onto the pavement, just skull bashing their entire head onto the pavement and killing everyone around them. Feel like this. And it is a very good attack. It's also very fun. It's very unique as well, since he is the only real character that has any significant like aerial utility. Most characters don't get that. You can download Xbox games for free. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know about the free Xbox. Trust me, I bought the secret special hard drive on the original Xbox that lets you download games for free. Yeah, fully legal, fully not condoning anything unsavory. You know, it's fully normal. Everyone has it. Everyone knows you can get the Xbox, the free Xbox hard drive that just has every game on it. But yeah, most Xbox games, I don't play a ton of original Xbox games. Most Xbox games I do play through that special hard drive, that special secret hard drive that is everyone has. But for Ninja Gaiden specifically, I did actually buy a physical copy of it just because I wanted a physical copy, because I feel like it's the type of game that I would really enjoy. I've heard it's a very difficult hack and slash game, and I like very difficult hack and slash games. That may end up being a stream game eventually, although if it is, it will likely not be for a while. I would need to get a capture card for that, which I may do eventually. Not even close to a high priority though. But I feel like that would be a fun game to stream. Seeing Ryu Hayabusa get his ass kicked by fucking demon ninjas constantly. But because it would be on a physical Xbox, I would have to get a bit of extra setup. Not too bad though. Also, speaking of extra setup, you could just run on an emulator. You're not wrong, but to my knowledge, OG Xbox emulation isn't great, and I've heard it's not the best for Ninja Gaiden Black either. Not the expert into it. I looked into it a little bit, because I was originally just gonna play it through that method. The concept of playing a high-speed character action game with the Duke... Okay, I don't have the Duke controller, unfortunately, but that would be really fucking funny. I have used the Duke controller in the past. I know someone who also has an OG Xbox and I played it in the past, and they have a Duke controller. I don't think I have like that tiny of hands. I think my hands are like probably average size, but my hands did not fit around that controller. Like I'd always heard the Duke was like a very bad, way too big controller with a nightmarish layout. After using it a tiny bit myself, I can entirely agree. I also cannot imagine playing a high-speed character action game on that, but it would be very funny. It would be really fucking funny, and if there's one thing that I love that's funny, or that I love, it's funny things. Funny little, terrible ideas. And speaking of funny little terrible ideas, the follower goal I set, I probably should have made it higher. I did not expect to get more than 5 followers before I even streamed one time. I knew I would get at least 2 people following me, because I had 2 friends who just already had me followed, but did not expect that within literally the first stream. So that's cool. The Donkey Kong Bongos Dynasty Warriors 2 stream will happen eventually. The Duke was my childhood Xbox controller, and I have always had tiny hands. I am so sorry for you. I am so sorry having to play as a child. That controller was not made for children. There is no fucking way they had even a single child in mind when making that controller. That is the fucking biggest controller ever made. I cannot imagine playing that as a child with like tiny baby child hands. I have fucking tiny baby adult hands, and even I can fucking barely use it. Got a great idea for you. It's called playing the OG Xbox port of Half-Life 2. That would be really fucking funny. That's a genuinely great idea. Mostly because of the fact I am really bad at first-person shooters. Even when playing them on like keyboard and mouse, you know, the optimal setup, I am not good at first-person shooters in the slightest. I'm very bad at them. So, Half-Life 2, not only just in general, but on the original Xbox, even with the Duke controller, I could even do it with the Duke controller, would be possibly one of the worst video game experiences imaginable for me personally. And that would be really fucking funny. It runs like ass, but I do agree. It is, I do know a decent amount about the Half-Life 2 Xbox port, despite having very little interest in normally playing it, because yeah, it is a very impressive port. The fact they got that physics engine to run on an original Xbox is pretty crazy. But I can imagine it does, like you said, doesn't run very well. I can't imagine it's the most fun to actually play. Doesn't run well, doesn't run well. You're playing on possibly the worst possible controller. Not a great experience, I would imagine, but it would be a really fucking funny experience. Sacrifices were made, sacrifices, fucking absolutely. But, sacrifices made were still pretty impressive. I will not deny, as much as I can't imagine it being a genuinely fun way to play Half-Life 2, it is undeniably an impressive way to play it. A very, very impressive port. And impressive ports are very cool. But, oh yeah, almost got sidetracked. The Dynasty Warriors 2 DK Bongo stream will happen, because, well, I already hit it, and I have the bongos. I already have them set up to be usable on PC, so it shouldn't be too hard of a stream to set up, but that one's gonna be very interesting, because with the DK bongos, I only have technically 6 buttons, but really I would have 4 buttons, because I couldn't realistically use the mic as a button because, well, I have to talk. Can't do that in a stream context, so that button is dead. And there's also a start button on it, but it is placed in a spot where I don't think it would be a fun idea to have it mapped to like any normal button. I would have to map it to like probably just start, or maybe I could map it to like circle to have it activate like my musou attack possibly. But that's gonna be a very interesting stream because I'm gonna have to do walking and attacking with only 4 buttons. So I basically just have to do like light attack, strong attack, and like up and right. I would not be able to move in all directions. Source running on the Xbox feels like some form of witchcraft, sorcery, or otherwise arcane art. Yeah, no, absolutely. It is a fucking crazy impressive feat, even if it's not the most enjoyable to actually play, because I've heard, and I'm not an expert on this, this is just why I've heard secondhand in the past. I've heard that when Half-Life 2 originally released on PC, it didn't even run especially well on most computers, so the fact that it could not only not run amazingly well on most computers at the time, but also was on the fucking OG Xbox, which was absolutely had to have been weaker than the average computer at the time. So the fact that it can run at all on that and like be somewhat playable is pretty fucking crazy. The Counter-Strike port for the Xbox that works with the replacement online. Really? Yeah, Source is actually a pretty terrible game engine. Look, it's a great engine for very specific things, I would imagine. I've heard it's a great physics engine. Beyond the physics, I would imagine it's not the most optimized, but it's, you know, it has a purpose. But the Counter-Strike port on Xbox, I actually didn't know that there was even a Counter-Strike port on Xbox, but I guess it makes sense. If you're porting Half-Life 2, might as well also use that porting ability to also do a few other Source games, and Counter-Strike is probably the main one you would do. But I don't know whether that would run significantly worse or better than Half-Life 2, because on one hand, to my knowledge, Counter-Strike is less of a physics-centric game, so like, presumably it wouldn't be quite as bad in the physics-like department, and I would imagine that's probably the most taxing part of the engine. Oh, also if you were looking at the screen then, Ryu Hayabusa can do that. They did not test his aerial attacks when going off of ledges. He can just go across half the map if you position him well enough. It's a very funny little thing you can do. But it runs better than the Half-Life 2 prot, but it still runs like ass and you're limited to controller. I would imagine, I mean, realistically, no one in fucking like 2003 would ever do this unless they're insane or like really dedicated but also don't have a PC. I would imagine there's probably some way to get a keyboard and mouse setup to work on an OG Xbox. It would probably require a ton of extra tinkering that like no one would ever do unless they were insane, which are always the funniest projects, the best projects. But I feel like there probably is some way you could get a keyboard and mouse working on an OG Xbox. I dearly care for the Source engine, but you don't develop for Source, you develop around Source. Well, I mean, it was made for like 2 or 3 very specific games, so I guess it's not too surprising that it's not the easiest to develop for. Like, it was made for Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike, TF2, and it wasn't made for Gmod because that was made by like someone different, but I think Gmod is probably the single most impressive thing ever made in Source, because like you said, fucking it's a nightmare to program around. So the fact that they made something as open-ended as Gmod and it still functioned at least decently well in that engine is very impressive. Just stretching really quickly. I don't know if the game has support for it, but the original Xbox controller ports are basically just USB ports in a different shell. Yeah, makes sense. So I would assume you could probably like either make your own if you're electrically engineering inclined, or like find a an adapter that would let you just use a USB controller on it. But I feel like while it probably wouldn't be great, I feel like if you did that, you could probably also like just map it to where like, oh, the analog stick controls are handled by the mouse, and then the shooting controls are handled by the keyboard buttons. Again, wouldn't be practical at all, and probably wouldn't be very good. I would imagine it would be similar to playing Super Mario 64 DS with a control stick. Like it technically works, but it's very clearly not the intended method. All three of the games in the Titanfall universe technically, really, all three of the Titanfall games. Also, I did not notice the third one, but those run in, I assume like a modified version of sorts, but that's crazy. Also, I had completely forgotten to come back to the Sanctuary Death. I don't know too much about the Titanfall games. They look interesting. I've always thought they were kind of cool because it's a shooter, but you have a giant mech, and like mechs are cool. I say as I literally have a PNG tuber avatar that is a robot. I think it's a pretty big, pretty obvious that I like robots. heavily modified. I can imagine. But the fact that it's even like based on it, like even the framework is from the source engine, even that alone is like pretty fucking crazy. What missions do I have to do? Collect more than 100 cards. Almost have that done. I have 19 out of 20 of the materials from Star Force. I guess I would just have to get that when I get it. 30 materials from Winning Post, 7, and 200 materials. So yeah, all of the ones I have left are just materials or cards. Clanker. Oh my fucking. I gotta add a new band term. Gotta add a new fucking band term. I can't believe Katie is literally fucking saying evil words in my chat. And not even fun evil words. They're saying mean evil words directed at me, the streamer. I'm supposed to be invincible here. This is bricked up. Oh, let's go. I got one of the best missions on one of the best maps for this. So this map is kind of bad. This map kind of fucking sucks. And this mission requires you to reach all of your allies within a fairly fast amount of time. Luckily I'm playing as Ryu, so it's like he has more mobility than the average character, so he shouldn't be too bad, but it does mean that I'm gonna have to play even faster than normal, because in order to get to that ally that's at the very bottom of the map, I pretty much have to circle around the entire map. I can't just go directly to them from the bottom right, because there is a one-way ledge there. So I have to walk all the way around in a circle and just hope that I get there in time. Mods ban the word clanker. But yeah, the source engine stuff. Back to that. It is definitely really fucking impressive for the OG Xbox. Fucking having a fucking Half-Life 2 run on that console. A console where like something like Sonic Heroes doesn't even run perfectly. Something like that having the source engine stuff is pretty fucking crazy. Mods, kill this guy. Mods, murder the guy who said that. Leave his corpse for dead. Why does the corpse run the I don't know where to say the chat fucking board, I guess. Mods exploded in corpse. Yeah. Those would be very funny streams, especially if I got a Duke controller for them, because the entire time I would be in fucking significant pain. Give it 20 minutes, I would miss like 50 inputs, and on top of that, give it 20 minutes and my hands would probably feel fucking dead from trying to fucking reach those buttons. They need to bring the Duke controller back. They need to bring horrible controllers that fucking are the worst things ever made. Bring back the Duke controller, bring back DK bongos, bring back the Wii remote, but only held sideways. What's some other terrible controller layouts? That one Atari joystick that has like one button, and it has like one button and a joystick, and I've heard that joystick is like really bad. I'm counting the seconds until a Steam controller too. The Steam controller is so interesting. I've never used one. I've never even known anyone who's used one. Except I guess you do. I assume you used one, but I've never even known anyone who used a Steam controller because fucking they were so like obscure. But from what I've seen of them, they seem like actually relatively good controllers, just because like they have the little like trackpad and stuff, which can't say I'm the biggest fan of trackpads for most things, but I feel like considering that your alternative is a analog stick, it probably is a lot better for like first-person shooters and stuff. I, however, will always be gyro aiming's strongest soldier. I'm a very big fan of gyro aiming in a minor form. Not the biggest fan of gyro aiming that's like too strong, but like, I don't know, a good example is like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Wii U gamepad, specifically the gamepad, because that's another amazing controller. Gyro aiming on that I genuinely think is pretty great. Splatoon, like, gyro aiming is pretty good. A decent alternative to the shitty analog, but I feel like a trackpad is probably the second best you could get to that. Bring back the Intellivision number pad. Look, I absolutely agree. Bring back number pads on console controllers. That's what we need. We need like hotkeys. That would make Final Fantasy XIV so much better on consoles. There are not many games where the original Steam controller is better than a normal controller keyboard mouse. The only game that's great with is GTA 5, really. That's honestly kind of surprising, because like, I guess I can kind of see it, because I always forget that GTA 5 technically is like kind of a shooter, a third-person shooter, but it kind of is. I always forget that because whenever I think about GTA, I just think about running people over in a car and not shooting. Does the Steam controller, does it have like analog triggers, or is it just like, what's the term?
Hey.
Analog versus fucking, I forgot what the other one is. But does it have the like, there's sensitive triggers basically? Because without those, I can't imagine it would feel great even in GTA 5 since there's so much driving. The really fun thing, Ubu, he's naked, but the funnier thing than him being naked is that and him having no clothes is that he is probably the worst character in this game. Weekday, the iconic musou character, the one that everyone knows, everyone loves, he fucking sucks in this game. He is really bad. He is not a good character at all. He does not have very much unique to set him apart. He's not the best for crowd clearing or single target. He's kind of just bad. Yes, but they're really short throw, and they have a button at the bottom, so it's only really acceptable for arcade. Really? Arcade racers on a Steam controller. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about them being good for that. That's really interesting. Arcade racers, really? That's so fascinating. Yeah, everything I'm hearing about the Steam controller just makes it seem like one of the most strangely designed controllers ever. Like, it doesn't seem bad. It does seem like it is a genuinely alright controller for certain games, but like, it seems like a weird mix of some very strange button and layout choices. I simply require a physical D-pad. I could not handle the Steam controller. I don't think I could handle it on any 2D games. Like 2D games or like games that I normally play with a D-pad, I don't think I could do it with. But like, I feel like it's probably not made for those. It's probably made for like first-person shooters. And I feel like for those, it could probably work pretty well. Because I mean, is a D-pad super useful in FPS? Yeah, I don't think so. To my knowledge, I don't think so. But also, again, as I mentioned earlier with the Half-Life 2 on controllers discussion, I am not a first-person shooter player, unfortunately. I literally don't know. You could tell me that the D-pad is the most used button in first-person shooters, and you know, you could trick me. You could reasonably trick me. I could believe it. This was easily the worst compromise. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't replace the analog stick with the trackpad. Like, they replaced the D-pad with the Return to Virtual Boy 2. Unironically, I think the 2 D-pad setup isn't that bad. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of a huge hater of the Switch controllers. I do not like the Joy-Cons. The one thing that I do actually kind of like about them, and the way it's actually executed is about as badly as it could be, because they're not 2 D-pads, it's 2 button sets, but the idea of like having 2 buttons / D-pad sets on both sides, I genuinely really like. Again, the way it's executed on that controller is terrible, but the idea I do think is kinda good. So something I forgot to do is, I forgot to set Ryu's skills on his card, so I gotta go do that really quickly. Joy-Cons get a pass for being the— You say that, and I honestly agree. I hate those controllers for literally every game except Tetris, which is really good because I love Tetris. I think Tetris, if you combined every version of Tetris, it may be my second most played game of all time. And there was like a 3-year period where I was straight up addicted to Tetris 99. I played it in unhealthy amount. I probably have like 2,000 hours in Tetris 99, and I do genuinely think the Joy-Cons are very good controllers for that. Very rare case of those controllers actually being very good. Not behind touchpad replacement for a D-pad. Or though a lot of FPS games basically just use the D-pad. Touchpad would be for FPS games, yeah, probably. I can see that. But the problem is like then it turns into an FPS only controller, and like I feel like most people that would really want that already, like, they have a keyboard and mouse. And obviously not everyone loves playing like not everyone loves the keyboard and mouse setup. I personally am not a huge fan of keyboard and mouse, but again, I also don't play a ton of first-person shooters. I feel like for most people that would be like really hard into it and would like really want that would probably be fine with a keyboard and mouse, probably. So it's a very strange decision, I feel like. Okay, so for the skills, a lot of these skills that you can add to your card, these are all of the skills, there's not that many. You can add, if you have a card with max slots, you can add 4. Most of these kind of fucking suck, to be honest. However, the ones that are good, Acrobat, this makes it so that you can't be knocked down for long times. You basically just automatically get up. It's a massively useful utility, especially when enemies use their skills, because those will usually knock you down, and Acrobat lets you immediately come back up. Most of these kind of suck. These are pretty much useless. This one... So... See, which one is it? There's one here that I'm trying to find. The new Steam controller is basically just going to be the controls from the Steam Deck. So, oh, are they making a new Steam controller? Was that like confirmed? That's pretty cool if so. This one is also probably the single best skill in the game, Double Edge. It massively increases the damage output, but you also take way more damage. This game is really fucking easy though. Like, you are most likely 9 times out of 10 never going to have an issue with taking damage. So this is kind of just a good thing. Prevents you from being staggered during strong attacks. This is a pretty good one too, but it depends on the character. For characters with slower strong attacks, this one's genuinely very good. For Ryu Hayabusa, it's kind of not the most useful because his strong attacks are near instant, so... Here's your war bonus. A lot of these just double the rewards, and those are very good, but the money's not really an issue. If you look at my gold, I have a lot. I have over 2 million, and there is quite literally nothing to spend money on at this point. So this is not the most useful. This is the one that I usually go with, just because it makes it easier to obtain rare materials, and rare materials are needed for certain quests, including the quest I'm currently looking for. Oh, some CAD models got released. Nice. That would be... I don't... Now that I think about it, I don't think I actually know what the Steam Deck's layout even looks like off the top of my head. This one is a pretty good one. Reduces the cooldown of hero skills after performing a special attack. This is the one that you want if you are doing what I am doing and trying to use hero skills as frequently as possible. But going through a couple more. Another one that is very useful, Temporal Shift negates any incoming damage at a certain rate. So this one is very useful if you are going for one specific quest. There is a quest that requires you to kill, I think it's 1,000 enemies while keeping your health at 100% for the entire match. This will not help very much if you are taking like big damage, but this basically negates like small pot shots. Like if you get hit by a minor enemy while walking around, this completely negates it. So it's really good for that specific quest, which that is Lubu's final quest. And for that one, very good. A fantastic skill for that one. It's almost necessary because of how inconsistent and difficult it is to like actually account for a lot of stuff. It is a very good skill for that. Outside of that one specific quest, it's not really the most useful. Like I said, you're not really going to be taking too much damage in this game. I think it's a standard controller layout with 2 touchpads. I'm gonna be honest, that sounds like how. I'm sure it works fine. I'm sure the 2 touchpads probably does realistically work fine. Otherwise, I would probably hear a lot more people complain about the 2 touchpads. But like, just hearing it. Wait, the buttons and D-pad are to the side of the. That's. I guess for how wide of a controller is, that kind of makes sense. Kind of. It's very odd though. Very, very interesting. Very interesting layout. I can't imagine that being the most fun for like most games, but I guess if it has the D-pad and buttons and analog stick and touchpad, I guess they at the very least fit everything possible on it, so that's good, even if it's not the best layout. That sounds like the fucking modern day Duke though. That sounds like it just has so much build on it that like, it probably is really fucking hard to hold. See, remember how I was talking about the RNG of like where enemy spawns are at, and the map you get heavily determine how easy and how obnoxious these stages are? Because for this one, as you can see, I'm on a very small map, and all 3 of the enemies have spawned in fairly close to each other. So this one is one of the easier layouts. Interesting though that they're making a second one, because I assume they're obviously improving it a lot compared to the Steam one, the first Steam controller, but from what I heard, this first Steam controller was not very good. Well, wasn't very successful, I should say. It was not the most, like, well-selling. But I guess now it has been, like, a decade since the first Steam controller, and there's obviously the Steam Deck, which was very successful. I just realized I did not equip the card that I just made. I did not equip. Again, I'm not used to playing games while talking, so it's very obvious that I'm not the most cut out for this at the moment. But I'll be used to it. It takes time. It's fine. It's fine. This game is easy enough that it's not too much of an issue if I fuck up occasionally, a little bit. People who like the Steam controller swear by it, but everyone else not so much. Yeah, that sounds about right. That makes sense. Although I can't call them out on that, because yeah, I'm a big defender of the Wii U gamepad, which I have met like 2 people in my entire life that don't hate it. I love that controller. It is the most scrungly, fucking stupid controller ever made, but I fucking love the Wii U gamepad, so like, I can see people loving, like, falling in love with the Steam controller. If I can fall in love with the worst controller ever made, I think some other people can fall in love with the second worst controller ever made. Oh yeah, Wii U gamepad is my queen, I love her. Same, it's what? I like the screen. I like handheld. I like playing games in handheld. Most games I played on the Wii U, I played in the like kind of the handheld mode, which you would think would make me like the Switch even more. But I don't like how small the controllers are, and more importantly, the way the buttons feel and the layout. They're like really clicky buttons. Like they have like too much resistance. Not a big fan of them on the Joy-Cons. And they're also like, I just don't love the layout. I don't love the kind of symmetrical layout. The Wii U gamepad though, I think games that like worked well on the gamepad, games that used the layout of the gamepad well were fucking great. They were fantastic. It's a very good feeling controller if you're fine with it fucking being the heaviest thing on the planet. I love the Wii U gamepad. I fully acknowledge though it's a very strange controller. It's a very an acquired taste, to say the least. And I would imagine the Steam controller is probably a similar situation. Yeah, this is pretty much this is gonna be the rest of the stream. This is just me playing, just fucking doing these tiny little missions with nothing to do. This is gonna be not only this stream, this is gonna be the next like fucking 2 weeks of streams probably. Oh, let's go. I finished one of my 4 quests. Oh, more sense when you hold it. It's actually very comfortable. As long as it's a comfortable controller, then like, I think that's all that really matters. The button layout, I feel like button layouts can be kind of like, you can get used to them even if they don't feel great at first. But if a controller doesn't feel comfortable to hold, I feel like that's the type of thing where it's like, yeah, that's not gonna, I mean, you could get used to it, but something like the Duke, like the problem with the Duke isn't the layout of buttons necessarily, it's just the way it feels. And so I guess in that case, like, I could absolutely see the Steam Deck being decently usable in that case. The rare example was same. I had the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild. I also exclusively played it on gamepad. At the time, I did not have a TV setup that I could put the Wii U on. So I basically had to play it on the Wii U gamepad, and I fucking loved it. I put like 150 hours in that game. The entire time, not a single moment of that was on a TV. It was on the gamepad screen. Oh shit, I forgot to report the quest. My finished quest. That's what the little yellow like kind of page icon was. See, and doing these also does increase your regard. Generally, the regard grind goes a lot faster if you do actually finish runs and restart in New Game Plus, because when you restart a New Game Plus run, it resets these quests. And doing these quests, a lot of them are very quick to do, and doing them increases regard by quite a bit. The only reason I'm not doing that is because this is gonna take long enough anyways that I might as well just finish every quest at least once. I think that'd be fun. So that's the reason why I'm not doing it. But realistically, if anyone watching this decides to 100% this game, don't do it. Do not do it. But if they did, my best advice would be to not do what I'm doing right now and instead reset as much as possible. Oh, what the fuck? Okay, so I guess that if you... Wait, no, because there's still a couple over here. I was gonna say, I guess if you complete all of the available objectives on the map, it just spawns in more. But I guess not. Because I still have 2 over here anyways. Breath of the Wild came out the Friday before my spring break, and I think is the most time I've ever put into a game in a week. At least 100 hours and several sleepless nights. So I didn't do that with Breath of the Wild. However, a similar game, a game that I have a bit mixed opinions on now. It's not my favorite game in the series by any means, but a very similar situation is the game Persona 5. A game that is fine. A game that is very flawed, and I do not particularly love nowadays. I prefer other games in the series. But Persona 5, I have a very similar situation with, where that game came out. I think it was literally also on my spring break. It also came out during a spring break for me. I got it the day of. I finished the game. It took me 108 hours, I believe, to finish the game. My playtime was at the end. I finished it in 5 days. I did not sleep for most of those 5 days. I have never done that since or before, but that was the only time I did quite that specific, like, crazy grind of a video game in such an instant time after release. But yeah, fuck it. I just remember getting to the final boss of that game and fucking Actually, I don't remember the final boss of that game. I remember being really fucking tired once I got to the final boss of Persona 5. Yeah, that game is not terrible, but not great. I have still not played Royal. It's been out for like, what, 6 years I want to say? I have still not played Royal, and I've heard that Royal fixes most of the issues I had with it. P5 is one of those games that is life-changing and consumes you for the entire playthrough, and then you play Persona 3 and go, these games can be good? Yeah, no, entirely. I entirely agreed. Persona 3 is not a perfect game either, but I like it a lot more. 5 is a game that upon first playthrough was like very fun, but upon repeat playthroughs and just thinking about it over time, it's like, damn, this story is fucking ass. The gameplay is good, but the dungeons are also kind of not amazing. They look nice. The game looks fucking amazing. True, dude. It's true. Persona 3 is my favorite in the series. It is still a game that's not perfect. Obviously, you know, no game is. It's got problems, but Persona 3 I like way more than 5 and 4. 4 is alright. 4 is kind of just average in my opinion, but 5 is kind of a game that I went from when it first came out, I was like, this game is fucking fantastic. One of the best games I've played, to now my opinion is, yeah, this game's like a 5 out of 10, maybe even a 4 out of 10 depending on the day. It's a very big mess of a game. Goro Akechi is possibly one of the funniest characters in any video game ever when you think about him for more than 2 seconds. Although Royal third semesters, I've heard that. I've genuinely, that's the thing, I've always heard that Royal's third semester has like a genuinely very good story, which is fucking crazy to me, because I'm gonna be honest, I said that like, oh, I consider Persona 5 like a 5 out of 10, maybe even 4 out of 10 game now. The main reason is the story. I think Persona 5's story is a complete mess. It is very obvious that game went through pretty severe development hell. Its story is not great. So the fact that the third semester in Royal is that good, because you're not the only person I have heard say that it's like one of the best stories Alice has ever told. The fact that it's that good is fucking crazy to me, considering how mixed the story is of the original. It's spent years wanting to play P5 so badly because people spoke so highly of it and loved P3 plus 4, and came out of it liking it way less than those. Like I said, on a first playthrough, I like P5 quite a bit, but yeah, no, I entirely agree. It's a... Gameplay-wise, I do think combat is fantastic in Persona 5. I still think the combat is really well done in Persona 5. It's really, I like it in 3 and 4 as well. I'm one of the rare defenders of the not being able to control your party members in Persona 3 exclusively, not 4, and only Persona 3, because I think the game is balanced around that. But 5 definitely, in my opinion, has the best gameplay. Very good combat. The dungeon design, though, I mean, realistically, the dungeon design in 3 and 4 aren't better. I think 3 may actually be randomly generated, and to my knowledge, 4's dungeons actually aren't randomly generated, to my knowledge. Or at least, like, are only partially procedurally generated, but they feel randomly generated, which is not a good sign. So I will say that 5's dungeons are better than those, but that is a really low standard. The characters, though, in 5, can't say I'm a huge fan of. Not amazing. I think most people who have played Persona 5 know the whole arc where Morgana suddenly completely changes character for like one dungeon. It's only good because it's got nothing to do with P, but really, it's entirely self-contained. Okay, interesting. That does sound genuinely very good. 3rd semester's by far the best part of P5, right? I gotta fucking play it. The only reason I haven't is because I like Persona gameplay, but those games are long. My first playthrough, like I said, 108 hours of Persona 5, and a second playthrough would probably go faster, but with the 3rd semester, it'd probably be like 120, 130. There's that joke where almost everyone says 3 has the best story, 4 has the best characters, and 5, and yeah, I entirely agree. And like, yeah, it's funny that everyone says the same thing, but I hate that it's 10,000% true. It is. And then 1 and 2, no one talks about. 1 and 2 are... I have not played 2. I have played like half of 1 though, like half a decade ago. 1's gameplay is fine. Story is interesting. But as for the ones people actually give a shit about, 3, 4, and 5, yeah, no, entirely true. 3, I like the characters in 3. They're not amazing, but I don't hate them. Akihiko may be my favorite character in the series. But 3 definitely has the story, 4 has the characters, 5 has the gameplay. Metaphor ReFantagio succeeds as a game solely on the basis that it's Persona 5 with a competent story. I have heard that comparison, but that's really fucking funny. Persona 5 crawled so Metaphor ReFantagio could run. I also gotta play that game eventually, but that's another one that like I've heard is very long, so it's kind of like gotta be on the back burner. I've always been a big Persona 2 defender. I love Persona 1 a lot too, except for like actually playing it. Persona 2, I know a decent amount about the story, and the story does seem really interesting about 2, especially the way that the 2 games connect, because Persona 2 is 2 games. Not to spoil anything, but I have heard that the way that the first game ends is really interesting. But the gameplay I have heard is probably... I've generally heard the gameplay and balancing into is the worst in the series for both games. And the story outside of that ending, I've heard mixed things about. I'm not sure if I'd like it. Persona 1's story, though, is interesting. Not bad, but interesting. I say all of this as someone who has not played any of Persona 2 and has played like half of Persona 1, so I am obviously not an expert on this topic, but from what I've heard secondhand, 2 has a good story, not great gameplay, and 1 is interesting. A game that I really want to play that is technically not a Persona game, but it is. Someday I probably will replay and like actually finish Persona 1 and then Persona 2. But what I would love to play before then is Shin Megami Tensei If, aka the Persona 0 kind of. I have heard a lot of great things about that game, but it's obviously I think it does have a fan translation now, but I know for a long time it didn't. But I've heard that game is very interesting. I know it's a lot closer to mainline Shin Megami Tensei than Persona, but I like mainline SMP. I think mainline SMP except 4 is pretty fun. I say except 4 because I am the world's biggest 4 hater, unfortunately. I do not love that game, but aside from that one, S&D pretty fucking epic. But everyone knows that the best Megaten game is SMT Imagine! Everyone loves Imagine! The online MMO. Unironically, probably like top 5 Megami Tensei games for me. I know top 5 doesn't sound like the highest bar, but the series does have like 20 or 30 games, so top 5's not as bad as it sounds. Also, this is probably the worst stage type to get for regard grinding, because it's a set 5 minutes. You can't do it any faster than the 5 minutes. There are no bases to claim, so you don't. Well, there's 2 bases to claim, but only 2, not a ton. So there's no like, you don't get frequent skill recharges because you normally get a skill recharge whenever you conquer most bases. Not here though. So I just have to wait on the normal cooldown in most cases. And that's why Hanoka is basically a necessity if you want to do any decent grinding on these types of stages. And even then you have to get very lucky. See, Kamura, what topics related to this game could I bring up? What Warriors All-Star specific related topics? So you probably talk about the game I'm playing, but also, this game is fucking nothing. Like, I don't hate this game, but it is such a repetitive game that outside of talking about the core mechanics, which I already mentioned, like the morale system and the musou rush and the regard stuff, this game really doesn't have anything going for it. I can't really talk about the stages because every stage is almost exactly the same. The characters I can talk about, but unless I'm constantly swapping characters, there's only so much to say about an individual character. I guess I could swap to a different character though. That would give something to mention. Let's see, what's a character I have not tried a ton, but is interesting this lifetime? You know what? I don't play a ton of Wang Yuanji, so I think I only have her maxed out for a couple of characters, but He is probably, I said Ryu Hayabusa is probably my favorite character to play, and he is. And he is very good. He is a very efficient character. But Wang Yuanji is significantly more efficient. She is without a doubt the single best character in this game. And as soon as I start playing her, it will become very obvious as to why. After I do this, of course, I have to use my hero skills right away. Of course, can't go 2 seconds without doing that. The reason why is these light attacks. These are her light attacks. They come out incredibly quickly. They're in a wide AoE radius, and they do a decent amount of damage as well. And her strong attacks also do the same. She doesn't have a ton of movement capability, unfortunately. So she could be a little bit better. Ryu Hayabusa is arguably better solely because of the higher movement utility, but not by that much. See, like if I go into this crowd right here, as soon as they get back up, look at the KO counter. It fucking just quickly goes out from doing nothing except the light attacks, and that wasn't a very large crowd. I sometimes wonder how impressive the early Dynasty Warriors would have been at the time, but alas, I was -4 when Dynasty Warriors 2 I was like -1 or -2 when Dynasty Warriors 2 released, so same, but they're really impressive. The later games, especially Dynasty Warriors 3 and Dynasty Warriors 4 especially, are like really impressive. As much as I did not love Samurai Warriors when I was playing that a couple months ago, that game is probably one of the most impressive PS2 games I've ever seen. The models are very high quality. There is obviously a ton of enemies on screen at all times. I never encountered a single frame rate problem or crash. It is not a buggy game. It is probably one of the single most impressive PS2 games. And that game came out in 2004 after some of the other ones. I guarantee, like, Dynasty Warriors 2, Dynasty Warriors 3, like, those really early ones, because Dynasty Warriors 2 in North America was literally a launch title for the PS2. In Japan, it wasn't exactly. It came out, like, it was like launch window in Japan, but in America, it was a launch title. And Dynasty Warriors 2, for a launch PS2 game, is fucking crazy. Like, that's insane. Like, being able to... Dynasty Warriors 2 is significantly more limited than Dynasty Warriors. Even 3, it can only handle, like, 10 enemies on screen at a time. So it's not as crazy as the later games. But even then, like, at the time, being a launch title and being able to handle that many enemies on screen at once is still pretty fucking crazy. Like, still very impressive. Yeah, that's one problem with, one fairly minor problem, but a problem with modern musous is now we're kind of in an era where, like, showing 100 enemies on screen is not that crazy. Having 100 enemies on screen all times and reaching the KO counts of, like, in the thousands isn't really as impressive. That's why Dynasty Warriors Origins is like, you can have 10,000 enemies in a battle, like, it's just increasing the number, but 10,000 I feel like is less impressive today than 100 was on, like, the PS2 launch, so it doesn't quite have that going for it as much. But obviously, new games are they're still very, very fun. But in terms of just impressiveness, yeah, the peak of technical impression for this series was definitely on the PS2, and by the last few games on the PS2, they're fucking crazy impressive. The last couple Dynasty Warriors games on the PS2 are insanely technically impressive for being on that hardware that late. But some of those almost look similar to early 360/PS3 era games. Musous can already be a lot of flashing lights and pretty colors, but this game seems to have that in spades with whatever that, that special state, the Musou Rush, as it's called. I already used it, so I can't use it again, but the, like, where your allies are cheering you on, and it all goes dark, and the enemies all start holding glow sticks. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of this game, is that mode is like the big spectacle. It's like, oh, enemies are constantly spawning in huge numbers and looks very flashy. This is definitely one of the more flashy games in the genre, which is interesting. It does give it a very interesting identity of its own, which it would be lacking otherwise. I don't think they go far enough into it. But it is definitely just taking that to an extreme in this game. Also, other quests done, which means I only have 2 more quests left to finish until I can then just finish this run and do a reset. Can do a new game plus reset and slightly speed up my rate of regard again. These I'm still quite a ways away, unfortunately. You know what I should maybe do right now? I should maybe get the card set up for every character, because that doesn't take long, and I keep forgetting to do it when I swap characters. So I'll just do that right now. What is hers? Yeah, this is her 4th card. By the way, the slots vary based on card. The only cards that have 4 effect slots though are the ones you get for clearing the final quest in the quest line for each character. Each character has those like 3 requests that I was just turning in, and if you do the final one, you get the card with 4 slots. Truly are braver than I could ever be. This seems so tedious. I grew up playing MMOs. I grew up playing Korean MMOs. I grew up as a very poor child playing freemium Korean MMOs, and I think that's all I need to say to explain why I'm able to do this without going insane. And I 100% Final Fantasy 15 Comrade, really? I've heard that's a nightmare, so that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I grew up on Korean MMOs where the entire game is just tedious grinding for thousands of hours, so those were most of the games I played as a child. So I'm kind of inherently accustomed to this type of very tedious grind, and it is very true that this is not the most fun. I would not recommend anyone do this, but I have that ability, that kind of, I've been conditioned to do this type of tedious grinds. Although I will say that so far, of the Musous that I've 100% completed, this is probably the most tedious one. This one has been bad enough that even I have started getting exhausted, and I'm not even like a quarter of the way there. It's not too bad, but it is definitely not the most enjoyable. The 3rd one. Born in the grind, molded by it. Yeah. Some may say that I'm insane for that, and they're right. That's all I have to say, they're right. But I'm very used to tedious, annoying grinds in video games. I grew up playing Digimon Masters Online and Mabinogi. Games that are very notoriously, you just sit in a corner and and compete with people with botted accounts to kill one enemy that spawns every 10 minutes that you have to kill 20 of for a quest. So I am very accustomed to this type of grind. I normally, you know, when I'm not streaming, of course, I usually multitask. It is very rare that I play one of these games and am only playing it. I'm usually doing something else, whether it's like watching something, sorting out some stuff, doing my adult taxes, that I do every day. I do my adult taxes every single day. Whether it's doing that, it is very rare I do these grinds solely for this. Also, I didn't even see the message. Shoutouts to Korean MMOs for sounding way cooler in theory. Yeah, absolutely. Korean MMOs are like one of those like categories of games that like you look at and you hear about people talking about them and they're like, oh, these sound cool, but then you play them and it's just sit in a corner for 10 hours straight, grinding a single enemy. Yeah, I don't really play too many MMOs nowadays. My PNG tuber is actually just a render of my old PSO2 character, Phantasy Star Online 2. I used to play that a lot. And I still love that game, but I don't play it very much, along with most MMOs in general. The musou grind has kind of taken the gamer grind spot in my brain that MMOs used to take up, and I feel like it's generally more productive. I mean, it's still playing video games, but at the very least with these, I am playing multiple video games, and I'm also like, they're games that I know I enjoy, even if I am doing the grinds. MMOs are much more like, kind of just do them for the sake of doing them. I make sure I use all of my hero skills that are available before I pick up the funny little orb that resets them. I desperately yearn for a decent MMO that isn't Final Fantasy XIV, because after my 5,000 hours I have sworn Final Fantasy XIV. I think I have like a bit over like 1,000 hours in 14, and it's very good, but for me, the funny thing is, the way that I always played 14 was mostly for its story and like very specific raid content. Like, I started playing the game for 2 raids, Alexander and Omega, and I did Alexander, and then Omega required too many people, so I didn't do that one, because at the time I got to it, everyone I knew wasn't playing it anymore, or well, they were taking a break, so never did that one, but I did do Alexander, and at that point I kind of just wouldn't say lost interest. I probably will go back to it someday, but it's kind of like, it's an MMO, it's the rare MMO that feels like it has an existing endpoint. That being like catching up to the story. My favorite part of 14 is the grinding parts, like the relics and the field explorations. Entirely agree. I said that like the main way that I play it is the story, and that is kind of true, but I also did not mention, I also did, there were 2 grinds that I put a lot of time into. Crafting. I did a lot of crafting. And also, Eureka. Eureka is my favorite piece of content in 14. And I think I've done like 6 total full runs of Eureka. Which totals to like 300 hours in itself. But, and of course that's not like, I didn't fucking do 6 runs of that back to back, because I would have went insane, but that's across like 4 or 5 years, but I like Eureka. Eureka's fun. I know it's generally not the most often I get it, but the grindy stuff is fun sometimes. It's just very relaxing. But yeah, I don't play too much 14 anymore, or MMOs in general. Even PSO2, the one that my PNG YouTuber avatar is. Eureka is so good if you can ignore Pagos. Yeah, Pagos is like 2/3 of the time you'll spend in Eureka. It's just Pagos, but I'm okay with Pagos. I don't hate it, but it definitely is the one that is the most grindy and tedious of all of the zones. Hydados is probably the most fun one though, in my opinion. The final one. I love the fates in it. It has some of my favorite like world fates, which are like, if you don't play 14, it's basically like kind of world bosses, I suppose. It has some of my favorites in the game. Oh, PSO2 with the niche. Yeah, same experience. I played a lot of. I actually only started playing PSO2, and I played on the Japanese servers, so it was actually slightly before the English release happened. I started playing PSO2 like a year before the English release happened, which was like 6 months before New Genesis released. I love PSO2. I used to hate New Genesis a lot more. I still don't like it, but New Genesis is not as bad as I used to think it. My main problem with it now is just that it's kind of a nothing game. There's not much to do in New Genesis, but what is there is fine. The emergency quests are alright, and that's all I really need to enjoy PSO2. I don't play New Genesis at all really, but on the rare occasions where I do go back to it. Yeah, play PSO Blueburst with me, I swear it'll be fun. Someday I probably will actually do a PSO1 Blueburst server stream, because I feel like that'd be fun. And I've never actually played a significant amount of PSO1. Like 3 years ago, I played it for like 3 hours with some friends, but I only wanted to play it with other people, and those people kind of got too busy to play it after like the first session. So I've still never played it with PSO1. That will change someday though. I do think that I would enjoy it. It would be a fun game. Although before then, I have to play Phantasy Star 1 through 4, and Universe, and Portable. I gotta play all of those. Those are all required reading for the Phantasy Star Online. But not PSO2. PSO2, you don't need any of that. Only PSO1 requires those. Even the games that came out after PSO1 all required reading. Oh god, this is probably the second worst map for this type of mission, because if you look at the mini-map, it's so fucking big, and the allies are so spread apart. It is very likely I will have to attempt this at least one extra time, so that will be fun. As I said before, that this game will probably be most of my streams for the next couple weeks until Utawaru Izan comes out, and then I'm gonna stream that probably day one, because I've been very excited about that game. But this isn't the only game I'm gonna play during that time, just probably the one I play the most. In particular, two that I have planned, obviously the Dynasty Warriors 2 Bongo stream, because that goal happened way faster than I expected. Next follower goal I should probably make way higher. Probably like 20 or maybe even 30. I have no clue, but I did not expect to reach 5 literally stream 1. But I also, another one is I don't tell Nintendo, but I can actually play Wii games on the PC through this crazy setup with a real Wii remote, and because of that, I plan to play Samurai Warriors Katana on stream, which is not really a Musou game. I'm not counting it as part of the 100% Musou like list because it is a single. It is technically a Samurai Warriors game, but it's Link's crossbow training. If you've ever played Link's crossbow training, the like Wii tech demo game, basically, it's that. It is not a Musou, but I still want to play it, one, because it's funny, and also fun, and two, it is still technically a Samurai Warriors game. I may not 100% it, but I do want to at least play it a little bit. Phantasy Star Portable Rock's definitely the best hunt. Wait, really? It's like a Monster Hunter style game? I always thought Portable and Portable 2 were basically just like Phantasy Star Online, but like on PSP and like single player. I did not know they were Monster Hunter style games. Damn, that makes me kind of more interested in them. Assuming that they're good, which I would assume they are. I have faith in the Phantasy Star lineage to make a good game, except New Genesis. That's the only one that doesn't get that. Sorry, New Genesis. Not my fault that you fucking suck. Is Katana the one with Takam? So no. So that one is also on the Wii. That is Samurai Warriors 3. Samurai Warriors 3 on the Wii, which when I get to that one, that's gonna be fun because Extreme Legends did not release in America, only the base game did. And Extreme Legends on the Wii does still have Takamaru from the Mysterious Murasame Castle. And that's the version I plan to play. So I'm gonna have to play that game entirely in Japanese, which is gonna be very fun. Not gonna be the only game I have to do that with, but no, Katana is not the one with that. That's just regular Samurai Warriors 3. I am very surprised they didn't also put Takamaru in Katana though, since they came out around the same time. I presume they probably could have licensed him for that as well. I guess they probably didn't care that too much. Probably didn't think it was worth the licensing cost, even if they kind of already had it set up partially. Also, that game is very clearly a low budget, very rushed, like pseudo tech demo game, which is really funny because you would think that game released as like a Wii launch title, but no. It came out like a year and a half after the Wii in Japan, and I think it came out like 3 years into the Wii's lifespan in America. It is very obviously a low budget game though. It reuses environments from Samurai Warriors 1 and character models from Samurai Warriors 2, and they clash so much. It is so obvious that it is using assets from two different games. It is a very, very fascinating little tech demo of a game. Gotta hydrate really quickly. By the way, viewers, make sure to hydrate. Did not realize the stream had been going on for 2.5 hours now, but hydrating is very good. Do not forget to drink water, and only water counts. Other drinks don't count, only water counts. So this is the only chance I'll ever get to show my most wanted hypothetical Nintendo game, which is a mysterious Murasame Castle reboot with like proper character action game combat. Please make it Nintendo. Thanksies. I absolutely agree, 100%. I actually played Mysterious Murasame Castle like 2 weeks ago, and it's an NES game, but it is like a pretty fun NES game, or I guess Famicom, because it was originally Japan only. I'm surprised they haven't done a reboot of it. It's referenced in so many Nintendo games. Like, clearly there's someone at Nintendo that fucking loves that series. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten like the Kid Icarus treatment and just gotten a reboot. But if it did, absolutely I agree, character action would be the best way to go with that. It would be a very fun thing. One of my top 3 Famicom/NES games, up there with Punch-Out and Blaster Master. Entirely agree. My top 3 are probably the original Zelda 1. I'm a big fan of Zelda 1, admittedly nostalgia. I played a lot of Zelda 1 when I was like 5 years old. And 2 actually probably is Mysterious Murasame Castle, and then 3 is probably Ninja Gaiden. I don't play a ton of NES games though, so those second and third slots are kind of not the most set in stone. But I should really play Punch-Out and Blaster Master. Blaster Master I especially need to play since it got a reboot by Inti Creates, and Gunvolt 2 is literally my favorite game. So I need to play Blaster Master 0 eventually, but I also need to play the original games because I know they're not necessary, obviously, but I would like to play the original the original Blaster Master before 0. And I'm sure I would have liked it quite a bit, but I need to play that. And Punch-Out, I used to have a friend a couple of years ago who Super Punch-Out on the Wii was like their #1 favorite game, and I'm sure they really liked Punch-Out on the NES as well. And this seems like a fine game. I don't know if it would be for me though. From what I've seen, it kind of just seems like a Simon Says type of game, which isn't necessarily bad, but I don't know if it would be necessarily for me. I probably will play it someday though. It's one of those games where it's like so iconic that you kind of have to play it eventually. Just a matter of when eventually will be. Maybe I'll play on stream. Maybe the stream will give me an excuse to play old NES games that I otherwise would just tell myself to play eventually trademark, soon TM. Blaster Master 0 is really good, and I swear I'll finish it one day, maybe, probably. I've heard fantastic things about it. I don't know if Mags is still in chat, but their Blaster Master videos are probably some of my favorite videos of theirs. Oh wait, there you are. Hi. Hello. The original Blaster Masters are more important than you'd think. Not required, but BMZ really respects them in cool ways. That sounds so fucking cool. I love when games like reboots reference the originals a lot. My partner swears by blasting it again for PS1 being really good as well. I have literally never heard about Blasting Again outside of your video. Got summoned by Blaster Master. I need to play them. And when I do, I will play Blasting Again. I'll probably play the entire series, because I don't imagine those are very long games. So, and I know there's not like a ton of them. There's like maybe 10 in the entire series. So if I do play Blaster Master 1, I'll probably just go ahead and play all of them. So Blasting Again absolutely would be on that list. I'm glad Chad is not completely dead, because I know that two of my friends who are gonna be viewers, both of them are busy right now, but I was expecting them to live the chat, but I'm glad despite those two not being alive, the chat is not completely dead, because while playing this particular game, I think most games I could probably talk about enough to carry a conversation. I am very much the type of person that loves spouting random fun facts about video games, but great game to start streaming with. This is probably one of the few musos that I can't just list off random fun facts about. This game has so little going for it that I don't think I could do that. But the good thing chat is at least somewhat alive. Even like one message every like 2 or 3 minutes is enough for me to say something. I don't know how much longer I'll go, by the way. Originally my plan was to stream for like 1 hour, but that was also with the original expectation of spending that hour troubleshooting everything, but so far, like, looking at everything, I can't really hear the sound myself, so I don't know if like the sound is fine, like the audio isn't bad. Don't know about that, but from the looks of it, it doesn't seem like anything is broken, which is good. Ilaiya has no fans. I have no history. Thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you so much. you're very encouraging. But yeah, everything seems to be working fine, which is great, because I fully expected everything to not, in fact, be working fine. So I had originally expected this to be like a maybe 1 hour stream, did not expect it to go into the 2.5 hour mark, but surprisingly I'm not feeling too exhausted or anything. Like, stream's been going well, stream's not too dead. I feel fine, so I think I could go on for quite a bit longer. I'm not gonna make it like, we're not having like a 10-hour stream or anything, but definitely longer than 1 hour though. That's good. Sorry, I had to hydrate really quickly again. So for these rare materials that are required for these little requests, from my understanding, what determines you getting the specific materials is determined by the stage you're on, and the stage that you go on when you go into a stage is like semi-random. So I kind of literally just have to keep doing these like random stages until I just happen to coincidentally get the stage that gives me the correct materials. Well, luckily, I've got the, considering how much regard I have left to grind, I have the time, but it is very funny. Chat banter is like one of the most fun parts about streaming, so I get you, it absolutely is. I did not expect stream number 1 to have more than like 0 people in chat, but it's fun. It is definitely very fun talking. I was honestly worried that I wouldn't be able to like talk to like messages with my voice and it not come off as like, I expected to not be able to do it, but surprisingly it seems to be able to do it well. Is this a Koei Tecmo Muso with the least content? Does it beat out Samurai Warriors 5 in that regard? I have not played Samurai Warriors 5. I have heard that it is really bad in terms of content. Probably yes. It is most likely the Koei Tecmo Muso with the least content. I guess Dynasty Warriors 2 has less content, but like, come on, that's cheating. That's fucking the first game in the entire genre Fucking, I don't think that counts. So yeah, this probably has more content than Dynasty Warriors 2, released in like 2000 on the PS2. But aside from that, yeah, this game probably has the least amount of content in the entire genre. Or at least of Koei Tecmo games. You know, there's some games made by other companies that probably have a bit less, but for Koei Tecmo specifically, yeah, this is probably the most barren game in the genre. Even other musos made by other developers, like I played Senran Kagura Burst Renewal earlier this year, and that game's also not the most content rich, but that one's also that's also a remake of a 3DS game that wasn't even originally a muso. It was just a 2D beat 'em up, and it's a relatively faithful remake. So that one being a bit lacking isn't too surprising, but even that one is probably more content rich than this game. Also, Bags, if I don't know if you're planning to play every Neptunia game. I know you've been playing those. Play Neptunia U. That game, as the local muso obsessed woman, I think Neptunia U is probably my like third favorite muso. Not third favorite like non-Koei Tecmo muso. Third favorite muso period. That game is really fun. It's also not that bad to 100%. It takes like 50 hours, which for this genre isn't that bad. Am I planning on playing all the Empires games as well? I am planning to play every Empires games on top of the Extreme Legends ones. The Extreme Legends versions, I am mixing with the, I'm of course mixing with the main games, because Extreme Legends is literally just an expansion, but Empires is like a spin-off expansion, kind of each game in the series. And since it is technically a different game, I will be playing them, which is gonna get really fun, because then something like, something like Dynasty Warriors 5, I know is like a 200 or 300 hour game to 100%, and then I have heard that Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires is also like a 200 or 300 hour game to 100%. So I will be spending basically like 500 hours on just Dynasty Warriors 5 and 4 and 7 and 8 and probably 6 as well. I've heard that one's a bit shorter to 100%, but hell yeah, I'm glad you'll be playing you. I cannot say much for the other Neptunia musos, Four Goddesses Online and the Blanc vs Zombies. The Blanc vs Zombies one, I can say, by the way, I don't know how to pronounce Blanc. I'm not sure if it's Blanc or Blank or something else entirely, but that game is terrible. I have played like 5 hours of Blanc vs Zombies or whatever the game's title is. That game fucking sucks, I'm gonna be honest. But it's also apparently like a 5 hour game to 100%. It's really short, but those 5 hours are boring as hell. Four Goddesses Online though, I played like 30 minutes of just to make sure the Steam port worked when I bought it like a year ago, but I've heard that one's a bit better. I know people don't like Dynasty Warriors 9, but I've heard, yeah, same. I know that people generally fucking hate Dynasty Warriors 9 because it's like an open world game and it doesn't work very well. Empires though, I've also heard is like not the greatest. I know it's generally still just kind of considered like slightly above average, but I have heard good things about it relatively, and that's a lot better than Base 9. I'm guessing that the structure of the game is probably not an open world, and I think that alone is probably what makes people like it more. I read the trophies for Net AU are pretty brutal on mouse. I assume AU is Neptunia U, like the Muso one. Action Unleashed. Not really, no. Okay, so if you just look at at the trophy list, it looks bad because it's like maxed out Lily ranks for all characters, which is the exact same thing as Regard in this game. It's just like social like standings, but. And then there's Climb Neptral Tower, based on the game Spectral Tower, the infamously bad PS1 game. Climb Neptral Tower with every character. It's not as bad as it sounds, because there are really easy ways to cheese it. Like, there are exploits that exist that make it go by really quickly. Unfortunately, I can't tab out of this game because, it has like a 50% chance of crashing if I do, which is also why I can't really check the audio levels very well. But if I could, I would check my Steam playtime right now, because I 100%ed it like 4 years ago, and I think my playtime was like 60 or 70 hours. Like, it wasn't nothing, of course, but for 100%ing a game with like requirements as bad as like that sounds on paper, I feel like that's not too bad. But yeah, that game sounds a lot worse to 100% than it actually is, solely because it's so easy to just cheese the methods. There are super fast ways of increasing ranks. Yeah, the zombies game does sound funny, and I like the outfits they get. From what I remember, they get like different outfits in the zombie game, and they're cute outfits, but the gameplay is like, imagine a musou, but with more clunky gameplay, like more clunky combat, and also without the thousands of enemies on screen. It's like a character action game as a musou, if that makes sense. Like, musous are kind of like very close to character action, but they're not quite the same. But imagine you take the combat of a musou with the stage design of a character action game. Like, there are like 5 enemies on screen at a time that just have huge health bars, while still having like musou style combat, and it just does not work. It is not very good. It is very unfortunate, but, and I haven't played it in like probably 5 years. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll go back to it, because I will have to go back to the zombies game eventually to fully 100% it, even though that won't take too long. But maybe once I do, maybe it'll be the best game ever. I do not think it will be. You were describing the 3DS ports of Hyrule and FE Warriors. You're right, but at least in that situation, it's not because of intentional design, it's because it's on the fucking 3DS. Because those are fucking Wii U and Switch games ported to 3DS. Like, that one at least has a bit of an excuse. I am so glad, by the way, that Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and the Switch version of FE Warriors exists, because those would be fucking miserable to play on a 3DS. Eventually I'm gonna have to play Samurai Warriors Chronicles, all 3 of those, because those are 3DS exclusives, one of which was even a 3DS launch title, and I can't imagine those running very well. Really, never played a single musou. Well, when you get to Neptune U, that'll be one, and you'll be playing one of the better ones. They're a very niche style of game outside of the Zelda ones that have gotten pretty popular. I'm proud to say I had more playtime in Legends than the original Wii U game, because yippee, console locked DLC. Yeah, so all of the 3DS DLC did actually end up releasing on the Wii U. The problem though is the only parts that were added to Wii U weren't the maps, it was only the characters. For some reason they put the character 3DS DLC on the Wii U version, but not the maps. I don't know why. And in Definitive Edition, they're both added. So the maps are in the Definitive. I don't know why they only added the characters in the Wii U DLC. It was very strange. But yeah, I can imagine that with those, with the DLC maps on 3DS, and I assume the Wii U DLC was probably also on 3DS, probably built in. So, like, I would imagine, yeah, it probably does have more content than the Wii U version, which is really fucking funny because it's the fucking 3DS version. A very mediocre 3DS port at that. Hyrule Warriors D fuck so hard. I agree. Definitive Edition is probably probably top 5 musos for me, and it primarily comes down to the fact that I have like a list of my rankings for every muso. I need to like put in like my like about like those little panels. I need to put a panel that just has like a list of like my 100% of the musos and what my opinion is, like my ranking of them. But Definitive Edition is probably like top 5 musos to me, and it is entirely because of how much shit there is. That game has fucking like so much content, and that content is actually fun. The funniest part is the actual individual stages in Hyrule Warriors isn't that more, like none of them are that much more interesting than the randomized stages in most musos, like even in this game, but the like adventure map structure is so well done that it makes it come off as like way more fun than it realistically should be. Like I've put so much time into the adventure mode in Hyrule Warriors because, well, 100%ing it, that's the main time sink, and I never really got old, and the main reason is just because like it's such an interesting map. Like you have the first adventure map, which is based on the original Zelda, and all of the like secret unlock spots are based on the original Zelda unlock spots. And I mentioned before, Zelda 1 is my favorite NES game. That's because I played it a ton as a kid. I memorized a lot of those like those spots where you can like find secrets, and that knowledge carries over in Hyrule Warriors, and that's so interesting. And the later adventure maps don't quite have that same appeal because of the fact that they're not based on an existing game map. They're kind of like a semi-original map, but they still carry the formula of like finding secrets physically by like it's basically the menu becomes its own little game, and that's so cool. Young Link is my favorite muso by a pretty big margin. Sorry, Guan Yin King. So it gets a lot of points from me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat really quickly. Young Link is a really interesting character. He is probably the most uniquely designed character in Hyrule Warriors, because you just need to constantly keep your muso gauge up at all times in order to enter Fierce Deity mode. And like in Fierce Deity mode, he is so fucking fun. I think he's not my personal favorite. My personal favorites are Skull Kid and specifically the like Beyblade spinner variant of regular Link. Those are probably my two favorite characters, and also Fi or Fi. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm just gonna say Fi. Those are probably my 3 favorite character variants. Young Link is really good. My only problem with him, he would probably be a top 3 for me, if not for the fact that there are a lot of stages that don't give you a lot of the muso items, or even the skill items, because, you know, you can use his ocarina to increase his muso bar by sacrificing his skill bar. There are certain stage types, so like the like quiz stages, or like mostly the quiz stages. But the quiz stages and any similar stages that don't give you a ton of skill, you just can't use him. He's borderline unusable in those. And in the stages where he does work, he is so fucking fun. But he's also, another thing that makes him really fun, but also a bit hard to use, is he's such a skill-focused character like, you have to be good at Young Link to use him properly, because you have to balance your musou gauge, like, so well to keep Fierce Deity mode activated as long as possible. Also, the what Link, that sounds rad. Yeah, it's just Young Link, but his basically, his ultimate his like musou mode, he has a special musou mode, which is basically the musou rush in this game, i.e. this, but for Young Link in that game, he has a special variant where he transforms into Fierce Deity mode, gets a completely different moveset, and he is the most overpowered character in the game. And it's so fun, and it's so hard to keep going constantly, and that like management side to it makes him so fucking fun. The problem though is he's just not usable on all stages. Also mostly unrelated, but even though I don't love Age of Calamity, Great Sword Link is so fun in that game. I have not touched Great Age of Calamity even the slightest. I played the demo when it released. Like years ago, but you know, it was just a short demo. I will not allow myself to play it until I've finished completing Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which is like a 1,000 hour task that I've been chipping away at for literally 6 years. So it's gonna be a while before I reach that goal. I'm not gonna be 100%ing Definitive Edition anytime soon, but once I do, and I do end up playing Age of Calamity, I've heard very mixed things about that one, which isn't the best sign, but I feel like Great Sword Link probably would be fun. I would assume he probably has a somewhat similar playstyle to the Great Sword weapon for Impa in Definitive Edition, and Great Sword Impa is probably top 10 characters for me in that game, so I can see that being fun. Make sure to hydrate, everyone. Everyone, make sure to hydrate. Oh, let's go. Two max rank confidants at once? Oh yeah. Unfortunately, one of them is Hanukkah, which doesn't matter because I need to keep her on my team no matter what, because she is the best way to grind regard ranks. Trying to think of at what point do I want to stop the stream. I do have stuff to do later today, but that's later today. Realistically, I could probably stream for like 6 hours total if I wanted to, but I think I'm probably gonna stop the stream around the probably the 3.5 hour mark, probably. But that's still another 40 minutes or so, so still got a bit of time for the grind. Made a decent amount of progress. I do need to get a bit more used to talking while playing, because I have been playing a lot slower than I would be normally. But because this is such a simple task, even if I am playing slower than usual, it's not like that big of a deal. And I have still made a decent amount of progress. Going back to Oka, who is the character I was grinding at first. I got her to... Still no maxed out ones on her, but I maxed out a couple on Ryu and Wang Yuanji, and I think that's enough. I think that's enough to consider this a successful grinding session. But I'm gonna go back to Oka for the last little bit of the stream, because she is the one that I was trying to focus on grinding. I just didn't play her too much at the beginning because she is a character that I don't love. And I wanted to show off a bit more of what strengths this game does have. And those are not displayed very well by Oka. She has a very simple and kind of slow playstyle that also doesn't really excel in any one area. She's kind of just a jack of all trades, kind of alright character. She's not bad though. I don't think there are very many characters in this game that I would consider outright bad. Like I said, the one strength this game really does have is the character quality. The playstyles of every character is pretty good. So even the characters I'm not in love with, like Oka, still pretty fun. So I know earlier we mentioned the Phantasy Star Portable and also the whatever the game is called, the Monster Hunter like games. Oka is from one of those, a game called Tokiden, and I've never played it. I've never seen gameplay of it, but it's a Koei Tecmo Monster Hunter game, and I feel like that would probably be a very interesting game. Another good thing that this game has done, and this isn't really the game itself, but more so just the fact that this game is a crossover game. It has introduced me to a lot of characters from other games that would be very interesting to play. Probably my two favorite weird characters in this game that I've never heard of outside of this game, and apparently one of them is pretty popular in Japan, but the two most interesting characters in my opinion, not in terms of playstyle but just existence, are Nobunaga Oda, the cat version of Nobunaga, and Ryo Roland's Tachibana, the like gambler, like I forget the name, the dealer, because Nobunaga Oda is from a Japanese exclusive mobile game that was basically romance or Nobunaga's Ambition, but like as a mobile game starring cats, which is very funny. And Ryo is from a series of patchy slot games that are apparently really popular in Japan, but they're like console patchy slot games that started on the PS2, and she's not even like the main character of it. She's just like one of many slot characters, but she's like really popular. Never heard about either of them until playing this game, which kind of surprising. I never heard of Ryo because she does seem to be quite popular. Nobunaga though makes sense because Nobunaga's Ambition, the mobile game, died before this game released. I think he was included as marketing for that game, and to my understanding, that game got shut down before this game even fully released. So it's a bit funny. I've almost played Tokiden like 4 to 5 times, but I always end up deciding not to. I haven't heard much about it, and I think the fact that I haven't heard much about it is probably not a great sign, because I feel like I've heard at least kind of good things about like most Monster Hunter clones, but I've heard literally nothing about Tokiden. Tokiden's like the only Monster Hunter style game that I've never heard anything about, and I can't imagine that's for good reasons. It's probably a fine enough game, but it's probably not amazing. You're probably not missing too much realistically. If you do ever play it though, that would be cool. To know at least one person who has touched Tokiden. Because it is a series that is very, very unknown in the as far as I'm aware within the Monster Hunter like sphere. It seems to be one of the more obscure ones. Yeah, something I should probably figure out before the next time I stream this game, which I will probably stream either tomorrow. I'll at least stream I will stream again this week, most likely. Maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then probably Friday. But before I stream again, I should probably play a bit more of Oka so that I can figure out a good rotation for her. Because most characters I've figured out a optimal rotation for, of just very simple inputs. I have not figured out for Oka yet. And I feel like if I did know that, I could probably stream this a lot more easily. Because if I just go off of muscle memory for the combat, then I could probably focus more on talking. Do you think if cat strategy were based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms, instead we get characters like Sao Miao and Wei Nian? Absolutely, absolutely. I think those would I think those literally would be their names. They're fucking great names. Fucking Sao Miao and Wei Nian. I would love to see a cat version of Wei Yan. Fucking, that would be fantastic. So he would have his little cat mask. He would have his little mask, but like as a cat. He would kill millions, but as a cat. Unfortunately, I don't think Romance of the Three Meowdoms. Terrible name, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I would love it if it did. That game would be so funny if it did exist, but unfortunately, like I said, the Cat Nobunaga's Ambition game, I believe shut down before this game even released in 2017. So that game did not do very well, but I would love for them to take another crack at it. Cat Romance of the Three Kingdoms would, I think it would change my life for the better. For the significant better. I think it would fix everything wrong with society if Wei Nian existed and was real. That would be amazing. I would absolutely love Wei Nian and Sao Miao. But then like, for characters like Zhuge Liang, like how would you translate someone like him to the cat variant? I mean, I guess there would be a way, but also, I mentioned before I need to figure out an optimal rotation for Oka. I feel like the best playing ground to figure out the optimal rotation is generally when you're in Musou Rush. That's another practical use for it, is experimenting. Because one, you attack way faster, and more importantly, there are constant enemies on screen no matter what that just fill the screen, meaning that it's very easy to just stare at the KO counter and look at how many kills you rack up when doing certain attacks. So the Musou Rush and also attacking single targets are like the two best ways to figure out what your two best attack targets are. Zhuge and Neon, I didn't even think about that. I don't have the cat brain. I need to get the cat brain. But fucking Zhuge and Neon is a great name. You're a lot better at figuring out the kitty romance of the Three Kingdoms names. See, what would all of them be? You know, we got Zhuge Nian, Wei Nian, Sao Miao, Sun Nian's a pretty easy one. What would Sun C be though? Sun, I actually don't know how to pronounce him. Oh fuck. Wasn't paying attention. Sunset, maybe, because Sun Yan is already taken up by Sun Jian, and Sun Miao just I don't think rolls off the tongue as well, especially for the name originally being Sun Si. I don't know. Put that one on the back burner. You can think about that one later.
敵将私が打ち果たした。さあ、誰
Who
の
would dang he be? The problem you start running into is family. That yeah, no, that's like 2/3 of the characters in Romance of the Three Kingdoms have like at least the same surnames. Have like very similar family names. And so they kind of get into the point of, oh, you have Sun Jian and then Sun Quan. What do you call Sun Jian? Sun Jian. You call him Sun Yan. What do you call Sun Quan? Sun Yan. Okay, I should probably do a different stage. I don't think I can do the one shot stages while we're talking. Unless I have Oka as a support character, which I obviously can't do as the main character. Oka as a support character makes the deathmatch battles just a free win because she just makes you invincible. Invincible.
歌方の者の父、王家が相手になろう。ここ、見覚えがあるよ。きっと私の意識が反映されたんだけど。世の力。
So pissed about Guan Ping and Guan Yanping both being real people who existed at the same time in history. It's don't you love real life names where half the people in the world are named John Smith? I love when historical video games exist and they can't change the name because they're real people, but also like they're like 3 people with the exact same name. Or at least incredibly similar names. I guess that's why like some games will like give like aliases for certain characters. Like for example, like some characters, like for example in Samurai Warriors, in the real life Edo period, a lot of people had like basically multiple names they went by. Hideyoshi Hashiba, aka Hideyoshi Toyotomi, is a good example of that. So like if there's two people who had similar names, there's a very good likelihood that one of them will have a second name that you can call them by. That's always something, but that's less common in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, like historical Chinese people. Except in some cases. There are definitely some cases of people having several names, but I don't think Guanping and Yanping are 2 of those that have alternate names to go by. I don't know, I'm just saying, if I had 2 kids, I would personally not name them John and Johnny. Okay, but Ed, Ed, and Eddie is a TV show, and it exists in school. Okay, so like... Look, sometimes you just run out of ideas for names. There's only like 10 names that exist in the world. There's only like 10 names, you know, you got John, Johnny, Johnson, John Dolan, John, I don't know, there's only so many names that exist in the real world, so sometimes you just gotta, there's only like 10 names that have ever existed in all of the world, so sometimes you just have to repeat your children's names. Aren't the guys just friends though? Yeah, but like, they're friends in universe, but like to the creator. They're like the creator of the show's children. in a way. So it's like the creator of Etta and Eddie, I forget his name, you know, he chose the name Ed for all of them because he's a fucking asshole and wanted to make it impossible to talk about Ed and Ed. You know, Eddie's fine, but Ed and Ed are so impossible to talk about. I don't even know which of the Eds I'm talking about. Which is which? Holding the right bumper and then pressing the face buttons are 2/3 of what my playtime of this game consists of. Because that is the set of buttons that activates hero skills. And this game is just the hero skill button grinder. My family named all their kids to sound similar, so if they called any name, all of the... That sounds like how... That sounds like... Cause I didn't even think about that, like, yeah. Like, it's obviously hard to differentiate them when, like, talking about them, but when, like, being someone with that situation is, like... Having similar names to your siblings, like, fucking, your parents call one name. And then fucking, like, you think, they're talking to me, right? It's like, no, they're talking to one of the other 25 people with the same name. I dislike this so much. I shouldn't fully transitioned and changed my name. Dude, that's the real, like, that's the meta. That's the name meta. If you get named the same thing as other people, literally just transition. It's so easy. Simple as. This one simple trick. I think I've started to get an idea of a decent rotation for Oka. Her C3 is probably, or her C4 is probably her best option for single targets, because her C5 or her C6 does more damage, but it also takes more time to actually get to that point in the combo chain. So it's a decent mix between high damage and also being fast enough. And her C3 seems to be pretty good for crowd clearing. So I think that's the play. Is the rotation between those two is probably the best option. I can't wait until I play some more taxing, like mentally taxing games, because I already know those streams are gonna be a complete mess. I'm either gonna be constantly dying, or I'm gonna be constantly ignoring chat. One of the two, because I do want to eventually do some like retro achievement streams, because some of my friends have gotten really hard into retro achievements lately, and I also want to do that a bit. They're fun. I like achievements, so I want to do a little bit of that at some points, and I feel like that's gonna be a terrible idea. But it'd also be really funny. Like, people like streamers dying, to my understanding. People like when streamers fucking suck at video games, and that would be a great opportunity, because I am terrible at most video games.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised. We're 3 hours into the game, we've only had one crash. Now, that one crash was pretty early on, so I mean, it still happened, but I am honestly surprised I haven't gotten more than one crash, because when I'm playing this normally off stream, this game probably crashes once per hour. It's crazy. This game is very unstable on PC. Just registered for achievements like last week because I really wanted to justify replaying Sonic Rush for the 10th time. Sonic Rush is so good. It used to be my favorite Sonic game, but in the last year and a half, I started replaying. I decided to go through and play every single Sonic game, even the fucking weird obscure ones with someone else. So I have replayed almost every Sonic game up to Sonic Heroes at this point, and also Sonic Rush, because I fucking love Sonic Rush. It used to be my #1 favorite Sonic game as a kid, and I still like it. It's still got the style. Like, it's Hideki Naganuma has a fantastic music. The visual style is fantastic. It's a great game stylistically. Actually still playing it, and yeah, Blaze is also the best Sonic character. I agree. Does have the best Sonic character ever designed. It's got everything going for it, and even the level design I don't dislike, but it's very much a game that I used to love, and I still love, but it's like top 10 now. It's not #1. It was so unfortunate. Replaying that was fucking... I replayed it like a year ago nearly at this point. It was honestly devastating playing it and realizing that it's not... I don't like it as much as I used to. I still like it. Still very enjoyable. Not a bad game by any means, but a game that is a bit flawed. Dimps loves the bottomless pits. Yeah, that's true. The last Sonic game, like I said, I was playing through all of them. The last one I played, which was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, was Sonic Advance 2. And that is also a Dimps game. Dimps does indeed love their bottomless pits. They're all very much like muscle memory games, which on one hand I do kind of like. I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong Country, and some people say that that's a game like that. I don't entirely agree, but the argument could be made. So it's a game that the more you play, the more enjoyable it is, which is fine. I still really like Sonic Rush, but it's definitely not a perfect game. It's got its issues. Takashi Nishiyama, founder of Dimps, known for such classics as Sonic 4 Episode 1 and the Rumblefish 2. Hey, don't forget about, fuck, what was the Dimps game that was made, like, somewhat recently and, like, wasn't a Sonic game? Fuck. I think I'll probably remember it at some point, but there was a Dimps game that I only learned was made by Dimps fairly recently, and it was a game that was made in the last, like, 5 years, and was completely different from, like, Sonic games or, like, anything like that. Dimps is surprisingly, like, they surprisingly have a lot more under their belt than just Sonic games. As a kid, I always thought that Dimps literally just made Sonic. That is absolutely not the case. They make a lot more games, and oh wait, it was some Dragon Ball games. I think they made the Budokai games, and I think they maybe made Sparking Zero. Maybe, I'm not actually 100% sure about that one, but I know some of the old Budokai games they've made. Very, very weird catalog of video games they have worked on, but some of their games are not assholes. Hashtag we love Dims. I should make a channel or that's just like exclamation point Demps, and it just sends you a gun. It just sends you a picture of a gun because that's what Demps does. That's what Demps does to the unsuspecting 4-year-old Sonic the Hedgehog video game player. Very close to getting Regard maxed out on Hanukkah. The rest are coming on slowly, but they are coming along. I wish that the game had a like percentage rating for how close you are to getting max Regard for everyone. It does not, but if it did, that would probably be the single most helpful feature this game could possibly have. Oh shit, they made Kirby and the Amazing... What the... They made that game? The like Metroidvania Kirby game? Yeah. I've not played that. In fact, I've played very few Kirby games in general. I played Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dream Land 1, and Kirby Air Ride. Kirby Air Ride's fucking awesome, but those are the only ones I have really played. But it's very surprising that they made that of all games. I would not have expected them to have been the ones to make the Metroidvania Kirby game. Very interesting though. I've heard that game's good. I've heard that game is very fun. Mostly from people that like Metroidvanias, but not Kirby. But that is still a category of people, and a category of people that I would consider myself within. Kirby Air Ride was never my thing, but I really liked it. Pop Ride is underrated. Pop Ride is genuinely underrated. The entirety of Kirby Air Ride. City Trial is really good. I do like City Trial the most of any mode in that game. But I think people sleep on the other modes way too much. People act like the other two modes, Air Ride and Top Ride, don't exist. Top Ride is fun as fuck. It's very reminiscent of like a lot of NES racer games where they're like top down. Like I think there was like a Micro Machines NES racing game or something that was similar. Very reminiscent of those. It's also, my favorite part about it is I like City Trial, but it's also like, because it's like a several minute long thing, it's a bit of a commitment. Top Ride though, it's like a 30-second. You can finish a match of Top Ride in like 1 minute. It is such a like fast like just start it and then that's it. You're done. Kirby Mass Attack was rad. That's another one I never played, but I have also heard really good things about that. Is that the DS one, or is that another GBA one? But that's another one that seems really fun. The like million Kirby's on screen is cool. I should, you know what, something that I may do, I may end up playing Kirby Air Ride on stream at some point. I said before, I already set up the DK bongos for the Dynasty Warriors 2 stream. The way I tested it was not just with Dynasty Warriors 2, I also played it like Kirby Air Ride for like 30 minutes with the DK bongos. Not a good way to play, but it's also surprisingly very playable. Like, it's not the best way, but it's not terrible. That game's very fun. I should stream that at some point. I think that'd be a fun game to stream. And I feel like it would have some very fun retro achievements, because that game has crazy unlocks. I think City Trial is such an amazing format for a game, but I just wish it was in a game that I vibe with more. I know Smash Run exists, but 3DS, like, yeah. The unlock system, like, I think my favorite part of Kirby Air Ride is the unlock system. It's so well done. It is so satisfying to just fucking, like, fill out that chart. It gives the same, like, it's an in-game unlock system that gives the same, like, satisfaction as seeing an achievement list fill up. Like, for, like, Steam achievements or retro achievements. Like, it's just a checklist, and that checklist fills up. Funny number goes up, and funny number going up is really fun. Funny number go up is funny. So upset that the DK Barrel back. Okay, so I knew that DK Barrel Blast wasn't made for the DK Bongos because it got, like, delayed and stuff. I didn't know it just straight up didn't even support them. That is so fucked up. Because that game literally has the DK Bongos, like, on the fucking cover. Like, the car, like, I don't even know what they call it, the vehicle that you use in DK Barrel Blast, to my understanding, is literally just the DK Bongos. It just looks exactly like them. That's so fucked up. On DS and you control a bunch of mini Kirby's. Oh, the Stylus game too, okay. Interesting. Stylus games are another, I said before, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm a fan of, like, weird control schemes, and I like the Wii pointer, and I love the Stylus stuff. The touch screen controls on the DS, when they're used well, are very interesting. I fucking love those. I would maybe like that game. Even despite not being the biggest Kirby fan, I may end up enjoying that game. Number go up, yippee! I love when numbers go up. Yeah, numbers going up is like, it's the most satisfying thing in a video game. Like, who cares about pressing buttons when you can see number go up instead? Calculators are certifiably the best video game console ever made. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. It's just objectively true. Calculators are the greatest video game console. What other console can you see numbers go up in Doom? The titular Barrel Blaster. Is that what it's called in-game? Because if so, that is so fucking funny. Literally looks like and is named after the fucking, like, the barrels. Like, well, actually, no, I guess because they're barrel blasters. And the bongos, I mean, the bongos are barrels. Like, if you look at the physical, like, design of the DK bongos, they are literally barrels. But, like, it's so funny they named the game Barrel Blast, and even if you did make it up, that probably is literally the name of the, like, vehicle. And, like, the game and presumably the vehicle is very clearly designed after and, like, partially named after the DK Bongos, and, like, this doesn't even support them. Like, okay, good idea. I do not know what Nintendo, what the people at Nintendo are thinking half the time. They come up with such funny ideas like the DK Bongos, and then, like, barely use them. The greatest idea of all time, the greatest controller. And they barely even use them for anything. So fucked up. That Dynasty Warriors 2 DK Bongo stream is gonna be interesting. Whether it will be fun or extremely boring, I don't know. But it will at the very least be very interesting because that game is not a 4-button game. It is not a 4-button game, so only having 4, technically 5, really technically 6, but not really, buttons to work with is going to be a mess. And it's 100% to me. If they re-release the Congo Bongos under the Switch on, like, if they work, absolutely, I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't because there are adapters that exist for it. In fact, I literally have the adapter and the original bongos, but, like, if I didn't already own the DK Bongos, I literally also would. I absolutely would also. We better be able to hear the slap of the bongos. Probably. Well, actually, so here's the thing. I probably won't be slapping them, I'll just be like pushing on them. But I will start the stream with a DK bongo slapping session. Spend 5 minutes and I will mess around with my mic settings to make sure they pick up the DK bongo sounds. Because that is an iconic part of the bongos. You can't hear it. If you can't hear me using the DK bongos, how do you even know I am using them? I've mentioned it several times, I am extraordinarily surprised that this game has not crashed since that first one, because like I said, entering the hot spring is like a fucking gamble on it crashing or not, and it surprisingly played nice for the most part, outside of that one crash near the beginning of stream. Still quite a ways to go, of course. I should literally told myself to like an hour ago, but I should equip Oka's correct hero card with the attributes. Oka, here she is. Double edge, the best one. Materials hunter, need that one for my current quest line. Dragon's Oracle, necessary for the hero skill spam. And where's the last one? And Acrobat. Acrobat is probably the single most important one for just general gameplay, but I almost forgot. I think I'll do one more stage, and then I will probably call the stream for now. It should be like, I should probably wrap up stream soon, and then continue playing Warriors All-Stars. Well, you say that, but I also literally just said I'll probably stop soon. Look, streaming's surprisingly fun. And plus, as long as I am continuing to play this game, I might as well just stream it. I will probably do a decent amount of grinding off stream, just so that I can also get other stuff done while chipping away at it. But expect a lot more streams of this game. Most of my streams for the next few weeks will be this game, because I need to grind it. And grinding this game is very much really fucking boring. So expect very boring streams as well. But this, I may be bitches, but that wasn't very good. This time I will wrap up stream soon as I do this one stage, just to test out the weapon. But yeah, it has been. I may be bitch. I may be bitches. Period. No but. Just true. This has been a surprisingly fun stream though. I was a bit worried that I would not be able to keep up too much with being able to having to talk while playing, especially while also reading chat. But it surprisingly hasn't been too bad. It's obviously a bit of a help that this game requires very little attention, but it's been a fun stream. I will continue doing so. I'll probably make a schedule eventually, not this week, probably not even next week. You know what, I may start scheduling streams around the time I start Dora Ramona's on, since that game is I'll be starting that game from scratch on stream, and I'll probably be streaming the entirety of that game, because I assume it won't take too long to 100%. It's not gonna be like a 3 months worth of streams game. So I may start doing schedules around the time I start that game. For now though, I'm not keeping any schedules. I will probably stream tomorrow, maybe Friday. Saturday and Sunday are up in the air, but I will at least stream one more day this week, and next week I will probably stream more frequently. I would say on average I will probably end up streaming around like 3 to 4 days per week. But for now I'm keeping it a bit unscheduled, unscripted, unplanned. Yeah, probably the single biggest reason for why I wanted to start streaming was because, one, I'm grinding these out anyways. Imagine having a schedule. I wish I could hold myself to one. That's the other reason why, is I also don't think I could hold myself to a schedule. Maybe I could, if I really forced myself, I maybe possibly could, but my daily schedule of outside stream stuff is pretty inconsistent, so I don't know if I'd be able to, but probably would be a good idea to, eventually at least. But yeah, I mostly started just for funsies, and it gives me something to keep my attention away while doing this. It is not a coincidence that I decided to start streaming during the most tedious, boring musou I have gotten to yet. Grindy, like, because when I'm playing this game, I usually multitask, but I still can't do anything too attention driving. So streaming is kind of the perfect thing to get around that. And plus also, having footage of playing this game is not a bad idea. I may not make videos, maybe I will eventually. I've considered it, but I may not make videos, but I do like having clips of like certain techniques and like footage of like things I'm talking about for my website and like Blue Sky posts. So it's a good way to force myself to get some footage, because I don't just keep the game, like I don't keep like recording on non-stop while I'm playing normally, because if I did, that would take up like 10 terabytes. Take up like 10 terabytes if I just normally recorded all of my footage of this game, considering how much time I have to put into it. So this is a very good excuse to get said footage, while not having to just do it and feel like 90% of that footage is completely going to waste. At least in this situation, it's like, well, the footage is the stream, and the stream is good because people can see it. There's also a lot of stuff that, when talking about these games, a lot of stuff I like try conveying either on my website or on like Blue Sky posts that I just can't realistically convey because they kind of required like a video showing. It's a lot easier to show rather than tell a lot of the intricacies of like character playstyles and stuff in these games. So having them shown on stream is a much simpler option. Your stream is good because you can see it. I can't imagine natural. Yeah, imagine a stream you can't see. I guess like ASMR streams exist. I guess those are streams you can't see, I suppose. Also, other thing that I completely forgot to check, but I really should have. If anyone has the captions turned on Twitch right now, tell me if those work, because I spent like an hour a few days ago trying to get that set up, and that was like, I wanted to make sure the captions, no matter what, worked. That was like the most important thing I wanted to make sure worked. Despite that, I completely forgot to check them before starting streaming today, so I don't actually know if the captions integrate well into Twitch or if they're like broken. I assume the captions themselves aren't the most accurate, but as long as they at least show up, I can be satisfied with that. About 90% certain they were working when I was at my desk. Okay, that's good enough. As long as there is a chance that they're working, I will consider that good enough. I guess I can check. I can look at the VOD, because I did set Twitch to save the VODs, and I guess I can check the VOD to make 100% certain, because those should still have the captions ingrained in them. Because yeah, I am the type of person myself where I am very bad at like watching streams and listening to voices without captions. I don't really have any hearing issues particularly. In fact, my hearing is pretty good, but do have some like fairly minor auditory processing issues. So if I don't have captions there to double check what I'm hearing, I will very frequently mishear things. So I myself am the type of person who likes having captions. I did not want to stream without having those at least activated. So I hope they're working, and if they're not working, on the 10% chance that they don't work, then next stream I will get that sorted out. So hopefully it works. Again, if it doesn't, it will be next stream. Now let's check the friendship events. How many more did I get? Let's go down to, where is Oka? Oka, I have 4 now. Ryu Hayabusa, I have 5, which I already had like 1 or 2 on him, but and Wing Yuanji, I now have 9. As you can see, there is still a lot left. This game is very, very long and grindy, but well, that's why I'm streaming. So I think that's the end of the game for now. Time to end stream. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how to turn them on mobile. Maybe I would assume they're available on mobile. They're just probably like in a separate menu that's hard to figure out. I've never actually looked at Twitch on mobile, so, but I hope they work at the very least. Thank you very much, Ellie. Thank you everyone for showing up. I know it wasn't realistically the most interesting stream. I was worried that like for a debut stream it wouldn't be the most eventful, but I'm satisfied with it. I played for, oh my god, nearly 4 hours. Well, made a lot of progress. It was very nice getting to talk to everyone. Very, very enjoyable discussions. Like I said, I will probably stream again, either tomorrow or Friday. Maybe same time. It'll either be the same time or like an hour later. So it will most likely be around 9 or maybe 10 EST. But yeah, I will probably once again stream Warriors All-Stars. Maybe I'll think of something else to stream, but that will most likely be what I stream for at least the first week. They will most likely all be that. So thank you everyone for coming. It was a really fun stream. I had a lot of fun. It was nice talking to everyone. I hope all of you have a very nice day, a very super duper nice day. So yeah, bye bye. I don't know how to outro a stream. So I would raid someone because two of my friends who also stream, Neighbor and Serenity, they're not here today, but I yell at them every time they stream to raid someone because raiding people is cool. However, nobody I follow except two people are streaming right now, and one of them is Salty Bet, and I think raiding Salty Bet would be the most pointless thing imaginable. But plus also debut stream, I think I can go without raiding this time. But so yeah, no raid this time. But have fun. Have fun with the rest of your day, everyone. I hope to see you in the future. Bye bye. Bye. Have a super nice day. Thank you for coming. Bye bye. Do, 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 do.